crossover. Crossover. Oh, killer crossover.
Just crossover. It just crossed him over nastily.
Another victim to the crossovers. Cross him up and sit him down.
Time for the crossover, powered by Everlevel Concrete Repair in Omaha at everlevelconcrete.com. Matt, Josh, hello.
Hello. How are we?
Good.
How we doing?
Good.
I'm doing great. I got a coffee maker and it's kind of changed my life.
Wow.
You have so many life-changing events. It's
In
hard
the
to keep
last
up
6 weeks, honestly, the last 3 months, my life has just completely
He's at that age, though.
just flipped.
Yeah, like
It's
I
just-
introduced ketchup to my daughter,
Yeah.
and she was like, whoa.
Yeah, that was my son with,
I
my
love
son with ranch.
I love the idea of me getting a coffee maker and it changing my life is adjacent to you introducing ketchup.
First thing I thought
100%
of.
true, though.
Yeah.
Like, you watch a small child be introduced to a condiment, and it changes everything. And it introduces the element of dipping, and then they just want to dip.
Yeah.
Which is
putting that on
hilarious,
everything.
by the
Everything.
way.
I have a niece now. I'm very proud uncle.
Mhm.
She's awesome.
Wait, I thought you hated your brother.
No, I genuinely I
Well,
like
the
making
kid didn't do
I
Loser
like-
brother, but winner niece.
Winner niece.
Okay.
Winner niece for sure. She's the best. And she is going to be a small human. My brother is a smaller guy. His wife is taller for being a girl, but like, you know, being a woman, but not like very tall or anything like that. Like she's gonna be a tiny person. And she loves to eat. She just loves, like she's not even a year yet. She's nibbling on steak. Like she like eats meatballs. Like she just clears her plate like she is an eater.
Respect.
And I love it. Like they send me videos of like Ellie, like, you know, just eating, just scarfing down stuff. And I was like, this is great. Like, what an athlete.
We have a
You
spy
know?
report from your wife.
My wife.
Ketchup will be our daughter's first core memory.
Probably. It's probably true. It's unfortunate it wasn't my choice
It's
to
gonna be
introduce the
even better. I'm
ketchup.
telling you, when she starts asking for it, like when Hudson hits me with a ranch in his like really tiny baby voice,
Yeah.
it's great.
She can't say ketchup, but we definitely know what
Mhm.
she's referring to.
Yeah.
You know.
she's like Mark Watney in Martian.
In what
In the-
context?
well, he loved ketchup.
Oh, yeah,
that
because he
was
had
his-
the potatoes.
He had the potatoes. He loved, like, that was
Well,
his thing. Just put
the poop
ketchup all over
potatoes.
the
I think it
potatoes.
was that he hated the potatoes.
Well, yeah, that's a good.
Sure.
point, too.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, keep in mind, it was not my choice to introduce the ketchup.
Are you going to
I'm
introduce
anti-ketchup.
Vicodin for her to dip her potatoes
Yes!
in, just like
That's
in the
what
Martian?
Watney was doing.
Yeah.
I think you should test it first. Be like, how's this
I don't have
going?
access to any of that.
Okay.
Probably
Get-
good.
You should probably get. Well,
You could talk to Tiger,
you
maybe.
could talk to
Yeah.
Tiger.
He's looking to get rid of some.
I'm in no pain. I'm actually terrified of pain pills.
Me too.
They scare me.
Me too.
They
I
gave them to me
totally
one
agree.
time and I never took them.
Look
I
at you.
got surgery when I was 17 years old, and my mom was like, "I don't really want to start this here." Like,
Just
don't wanna
say,
give it to you."
I just don't like this idea
Yeah.
that I'm under some sort of spell.
I did have them once after your spell. It's just a high.
That's
It's
That's
not
not
a
really
spell.
how it works.
you go under a spell. That's
Not
what
a spell.
happens.
No, you just get high.
It's a trick.
I've done it for my shoulder before. You just get.
It's a
kinda-
trick and you don't
you
feel
get-
anything.
You get woozy. Yeah, it was pretty fun.
How is that not a spell?
I guess
Would
there's.
you
I-
consider alcohol a spell?
Yeah.
Yes.
Ooh.
okay, well then I
I'll
guess
be going under
So
a
it's
spell
all
tonight.
spells for you.
it's just a different vernacular. I
Yeah.
guess it's just different vocabulary.
Yeah, it's witchcraft.
in wizardry.
Yeah, the potion makes
Would
you
like
have
an
a spell on
adrenaline
you.
rush or a high that you get from an accomplishment be a spell? Because the endorphins that it gives your brain.
Technically, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I just want
You
to.
should just call Bush Light potions. Just go to the bar and be like, "I'll take a potion. I'll take a Bush potion."
Good idea. That could be, what do the kids say? Could be the move.
Could be the move.
Mhm.
The kids do be saying that.
Yeah. Kids say tutties. Kids say could be the move.
I don't say tutties. I say tubbers or
Well,
tub.
all right. Why?
I'm just a
Tubbers.
weirdo. I'm just
That's
a weirdo.
not even anything.
My buddy who played football used to say a tub, and I'd just be like, "Nice tub." That's just kind of how I roll. It's just Matt being different for no reason.
Okay. But that's like an inside joke.
Yeah, basically.
All right. Gotcha.
Tub or tubbers. But I probably wouldn't say it like hike them off sides. Like I probably wouldn't say,
Oh, you definitely
Nice.
wouldn't say that.
well, not anymore. No longer using that one.
People got really mad at Matt one day because he said hike them off sides.
It was on a big red overreaction, and I was breaking down the play against USC.
he was trying to refer to a hard count.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, I know what he's referring to.
Yeah.
I'm just sort of like,
Nebraska had
how did
lost.
those that
So
Nebraska. It was a big red overreaction. Nebraska lost to was it USC, and
It was.
they did the thing where they were going to punt, and then they called the timeout, and then they brought Harburg on the field, but they got him out too late, and then they had to take an offsides, or they stopped the clock again, and then they ended up punting.
Sounds like
so many dumb
and it was just so, and I'm like, he didn't even. I was like, I understand the play, but he didn't even get a true attempt to hike them off sides. And then a guy came on the phone line. He goes, I'm sorry, before I make my point. Did you say hike them off sides? You're an idiot. You don't know ball. You know nothing about football. I've never heard. Like, he just got really
basically
upset.
like, I can't take you seriously because you just said hike them off sides,
Yeah.
which honestly,
it's a weird phrasing.
It is.
It doesn't mean you don't need that you wouldn't know football, but it's awkward as hell.
I've said that before plenty of times, and nobody ever had a problem with it.
And then
Like,
the man called in
like 3 days later.
Not the Monday after, but like the Tuesday, Wednesday after, and apologized to Connor.
Yeah. He didn't apologize to me. And I'm going to be real with you. I did not accept his apology. No, absolutely
You're
not.
mad at him still.
That guy was an ass.
Okay. All right. Some people are ass.
Yeah. He was an ass. No, thank you.
All right. Yeah. Some people who tweeted at me last night were ass as well.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
you were.
But if they apologized, I would accept it for the record.
He pulled off one of my favorite media tweets yesterday. Another happy customer.
Yeah, the guy immediately deleted his tweet.
What a coward.
Once it got quote tweeted, he was like, I'm out. I can't deal with it.
I don't delete tweets.
But little did he know, nobody comes to my side to help me. No one comes to my side to say, oh, Connor, you did a great job. I still like you. Nobody does that.
You got compliments yesterday from the people that I was talking to.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
I went to, we had a very secret super society meeting yesterday.
What?
Whoa.
And
were they saying Tuddy?
No, they were not saying Tuddy. She was not there, but it was there was a table of Creighton people who knew me, who knew that I hosted Middays with Matt. Once again, I got another question. How's it like working with Bishop? I just can't get away from that.
He's an American hero.
He is an American hero.
The children yesterday that I saw at the school were amazed that I was friends with John Bishop.
Really?
They were like, you know John Bishop? And I was like, wait, you know John Bishop? And they were like, yeah, of course I know John Bishop. These are fifth graders.
This is the voice of Creighton
Good
basketball.
for John.
Fifth graders.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's great. Yeah, no, they
an unwitting and unwilling American hero, John Bishop.
Somebody said when I was in the bathroom,
the hero we deserve.
They were like, when I was in the bathroom, I listened to Happer and Bishop. They sounded great.
Did they say that we were Blue Jay honks who sucked?
No.
Oh, okay.
I only went to the bathroom once yesterday, and I was at the game. And
you were?
Yeah.
Wow, they're putting a hex on Creighton.
You go to a lot of the games.
I've been to 2.
Oh yeah, because you hate your stinky roommates.
Yeah. Noodle arm.
You figured out who it is?
I know.
Hey, that was a great throw.
I mean, it was.
That's a perfect throw.
I'm making fun of it because it's funny to make fun of because they didn't get him out. But yes, I am acknowledging it was a very good throw.
Unbelievable.
I haven't figured out who the other 2 are. I just know it's that guy for sure. I just know it's him.
You should show up to a baseball media availability, which I don't think is a real thing for Creighton, but if it was, you should show up and request this guy and then just accost him on what he makes. For
I did see him the other day walking around an establishment, and I almost did pull him to the side and been like, look, we have no issue with you. I'm just curious as to what you're cooking.
We have no issue. What are you,
mob? No, we got no problem.
We have no issue.
We got no problem. Hey, if you like the mob, you should listen to one of the
who's we?
Today. Me and my roommate.
Oh,
the mob.
Yeah.
No. We have no. I mean, they are other than once to twice a week. Now it hasn't happened nearly as much recently, but like when they were in the off season, it would smell like crap. It would smell terrible.
Get ready to have a nice weekend of normal smells.
Ever since the season started,
will be stinky.
Ever since the season started, it's been completely fine. But
they've been on the road for the entire time.
There was multiple weeks in the off season where it was about 3 to 4 times a week where it was like we had to light a candle. And I'm not mad at them. They were great roommates otherwise, or neighbors otherwise. But I'm just curious as to what I just can't believe anything smells like.
I think it's time to ask.
I need to find a moment with him.
Would you like me to ask?
I thought you were going to ask.
Oh, I certainly can't. I just have to remember it next time I see him.
Yeah, just be like, hey, what are you cooking?
Okay, I will.
I'm just
Will
honestly
you commit to
Next
eating
Tuesday.
whatever it is if you get the
Yes.
answer?
They'll be
Yes.
shocked.
I would love. I will eat it. I would love to know if it's tasty. If I eat it and it's tasty,
Oh,
I will be like, you know what? I was wrong. Hand up. Like if you're making like that's worth the smell.
Does
It's
it
worth
always smell
sting.
the same?
Yeah.
What does it? Could you
Okay.
describe it?
I think I've described it as yellow. It's like yellow with
You
a
described it as sweat sock. or
yeah,
something
like
one
kind
time.
of sweaty,
Wait,
but
you
a little
describe the smell of it yellow.
yellowy, like sock.
It has a
socky.
yellow smell.
There's like a hinge of sugar. Like there's a hinge of a hint of sweetness to it.
None
too.
of this makes sense to me.
It's a disgusting smell. It's a deplorable smell.
curry?
I don't know. I think
Yeah,
they're just-
watch out, Matt.
I think
Yeah.
There are other cultures.
Yeah.
that's not
Oh,
what I'm
wow.
saying. That is not what I'm saying. That's actually you two who jumped to that conclusion. I was just making adjectives.
Matt
and
Mick
you're
ethnocentric.
no. I'm not racist. All right. I'm
Thank you
not.
for saying that. Thank you for saying that. Thank you
So
for
now-
saying that.
no, I know. Of course, I'm just trying to tell you. You're like you guys are telling me you're really bad at trying to explain what it smells like, and it kind of goes to show the point where I can't put anything to it. I have no idea what this would be.
Well, because when I ask, this culprit is going to be like, well, what do you mean? And I'm then going to, in turn, going to have to describe it. And I don't have
yellow
anything.
sugary
Yeah,
smell.
I don't have anything to go off right now except for yellow
See-
socks
see-
that smell like sugar a little bit.
See, the thing is that I think you should just say probably something that one of you does that for sure smells up your entire apartment. It for sure.
What if
smells
they
up
don't
your-
notice?
Connor doesn't have that knowledge. It makes it harder to ask that question.
I think. Well, here's
You
the
gotta be
thing.
like, sources are telling me that you guys cook some stinky.
No, I'm going to
food.
throw you under the bus. I'm going to say, hey, one of your neighbors just, has been telling me for a long time that you guys smell. That's what I'm going to say. That's exactly what I'm going to say.
and
then they're
it's
gonna-
something they cook.
And then they're going to call you a narc.
Oh,
And so, do you want to be a narc?
Matt
I don't
McNark?
care.
Are
If
you
I-
a narc?
I'm gonna be real with you. If I get pressed by the baseball team, I do not care.
Okay. All
I
right.
have no problem
That's a
getting
choice.
pressed by the
That's
baseball.
that's a choice
Okay.
you're making.
Well, what are they gonna do? Fight me because they're smelly?
No. They're not going to fight you.
What are they gonna do? They're just gonna keep cooking it?
Who knows? I don't know what they're capable of.
I'm not afraid of them. You're talking as if like I'm fearful of them. I'm not.
Not sure.
These guys would. I've seen these guys multiple times go in the summer months when it was nicer out. They would go up to the grill that's upstairs at the apartment. I think it's just it got colder and they couldn't grill some of those meats anymore, and so they had to start pan frying them.
You think it's a meat or
You think
a
it's a
sauce?
meat?
I think it's a
Oh.
meat. I think it's a meat. Because multiple
An
times
unknown meat?
I saw the guy one time grilling chicken. Like he
Doesn't
was on
most
his.
of the meat have like a pretty consistent smell that you would know, right?
But I don't know if it's the meat specifically as much as what are they seasoning it with, and why don't they have the fan on? Is probably the second question. Or crack
Maybe
a window.
your apartment complex just has poor ventilation.
It does. That's terrible.
Most things
ventilation.
built now have poor ventilation.
Yeah, it's
Nobody
one.
thinks about vents.
I'm very excited to move out of my.
Dude, what's our
current
countdown? You've been talking about this since
Yeah.
the,
June,
midday show
June,
started.
June
June?
6th.
That's so far away.
Wow.
Still.
June 6th. I'm so excited. I
a
mean,
long
It
I
almost
came,
within 2 months.
I've come to the realization that I was a poor college student for 2 years, and then the last about year, I've just been a college student that's had more money, and now I'm officially kind of morphing out of that into okay, I'd like to be an adult now.
Yeah, you
You
get
That's
tired
nice.
of that, and
Yeah.
that's what spurns the decision for most people. Is I
That's
am
why you
tired
want to
of
make
living that
Quiet
way.
Vegas with me.
exactly. Like
Mhm.
I'm just kind of like
Even though
I'm
you can't attend.
yes, but I'll wait. I'm packing a lunch now. Like this is 2 days in a row where I've packed a sandwich. I'm like, I don't really need to go and have a lunch at Brazen Head or the sushi.
This
place
is a
I go
very
to.
recent change. For you.
Yes, very.
2 days.
2
He
days.
had
Mhm.
mentioned multiple times his life has changed a lot in the last 6
I
weeks.
did. Closterman has really done a number on me.
This is crazy.
Wow.
Well, he's got a podcast with Bill Simmons that came out.
Really today?
I've been informed by Josh Peterson and multiple other people that know how I feel about Chuck Closterman.
Can't wait. I'll listen to that today on my walk.
Okay.
I'll have to bundle up.
Well, what's the runtime on it? 3.5 at least.
No, they don't go that
Okay.
long.
they
so-
go really long.
Well,
though.
Levante David was on
Probably
Bussin'.
2.5.
Okay, that's could be a plane pod, or I'll listen to or watch your movie that you want me to watch.
Yeah.
Oh, what movie?
Good Fortune.
Good Fortune.
Okay.
Keanu
Reeves.
with
the return of Aziz
Enjoy it.
Ansari.
This is my movie from the flight back from Houston.
Levante David had a 3-hour podcast with Bussin' with the Boys.
Okay, that sounds horrible.
And I just can't imagine how anybody would sit down and listen to all 3 hours in one sitting. I can't. I could see somebody.
Captive people.
I could see somebody maybe. I could see myself listening to it for maybe a half hour. Captive people, like those in prison.
Plane.
Oh, okay.
They can't go anywhere.
I texted Schaefer that Closterman was on.
That
the
was well
sentence.
played. You're now number 4. It's like this thing that happens, and then Josh is usually the first, and
It's
then there's
usually
other
Josh,
people, and
yes.
it's like
The
there's
word
just an
starts to get around the
enthusiasm.
internet really quickly, and then people will start to say, "Oh man, Closterman really had his fastball on the Simmons pod today." They were just going back and
He
forth.
usually does. It's
Yeah.
usually great.
I think that's my favorite Connor Happer bit when he just says, "This is how everybody's going to react." Or, "This is just how."
It's pretty easy.
I think my favorite Connor Happer show segment of all time is when Connor described how coaches talk about Tom Osborne, where it's like they get hired for the first time and they go and have a meeting with Tom, and they get asked about the meeting. They're like, "Man, he's still got it. He's still sharp. He's still great. I wish."
I tried to get him to hire as my offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw that happen right before my very own eyes.
Mhm.
Twice. It was
Oh, and you'll
incredible.
see it many. Well,
See it. We'll
who
see.
knows how many more times you'll see it.
I don't know. I was excited to see where you were going there.
Dang it.
I thought about one side and I didn't think about the other.
We just think about all sides.
Multifaceted.
It's
See-
multifaceted.
See, Chance has this question that I did as well.
Chance.
Did someone say captive on a plane?
Okay.
I've never thought.
That's not what he's referring to, by the way.
Oh, okay. I was just thinking I've never been on a plane and thought, wow, I'm in captivity.
Dude, that's what you are. I mean, where are you going?
Nowhere.
Well, I'm moving.
Yeah, but
you're
you're
trapped.
going nowhere.
No, I'm moving at 500 miles an hour.
Yeah, but you can't
You can't go
go
anywhere.
anywhere.
Well, I can get up and go to the bathroom.
That's it.
That's it.
Even then, they restrict when you can do it.
It's
Yeah,
basically like being in a bunker.
But no, it's not.
You're
Being
more
in
or
a
less
plane is
like-
not being in a bunker.
Yeah, it is.
There is
You're
a
just in a larger version of the kennel that you would put a dog in.
But you guys are saying that I'm not going anywhere. I literally am going somewhere.
yeah, the
in a
dog in the
plane.
back of the car might be going somewhere, but he can't
No,
really do
The
it.
truth of the matter is, Matt, you have to live with these people for potentially 3, 5, 6 hours, maybe 18 if you're going across the road.
They might take their shoes off.
Yeah.
They
You have to
might
live. These
cut
are the
their
people.
nails next to you in the seat.
And so that's why you look around when you get on there and you're like, these are the people I have to spend the next 2.5 hours with. Like, am I going to do that? Am I going to be okay with that?
They could come in with a bag from Nuts on Clark and tell you how much better it is than the other places. in
Think about their
Chicago.
disgusting,
Stop.
cheesy fingers.
We are a Garrett's radio station.
We aren't anything
That's a good
unless
point.
they are sponsoring it, and then we absolutely are.
Wow, sorry. When you said we aren't anything, I just got PTSD from a lot of relationships and stuff.
They could have their AirPods
Usual
in.
line for you.
Yeah, sorry. I just had flashbacks. Scott.
They could have their AirPods in and think that they're hearing things out of their AirPods, but they're actually hearing things out of their phone.
Has that happened before to you?
It can.
Oh yeah,
It can happen.
they might not even wear AirPods, and they might just wear their headphones around their neck.
You could be watching them play solitaire and making horrible moves for 2.5 hours.
You a big solitaire guy?
No.
Okay.
Not at all.
All
I
right.
see other people play solitaire.
And you're like, you suck.
And I'm like, what are you guys doing? People play chess.
I play
People
chess.
play chess. They play that
You,
word game.
you
Some
look
people
at
play
me with
chess at work.
such disgust.
Not you. I wasn't talking about you.
You said that before, that you don't like that my generation plays chess now.
I don't actually. Thank you for saying that.
You're welcome.
You've already said it.
Yes.
No, that's
Thank
a
you
very
for
big
repeating it.
stance.
It's worth repeating.
I like to play
What's
chess.
going on with you guys in the chess?
It's just a fun game to play that, kind of puts your brain at work. I like to do it during my free
Yeah, but
time,
see,
not when I'm on the clock.
problem
What
is,
if we set up a
Interesting,
chessboard on
theory.
one of our respective desks and we just did one move a day?
Well, you can do that online. You can do that with your phone.
Yeah, that we work in the same office. space.
Okay, we can do that. I can do that with you.
All
I
right,
would love to
I'll
do
look into
that.
this.
I think
I'm
that would be
terrible
fun.
at chess.
Me too. I'm not
I
very good
generally
either.
lose in like 6 moves.
see, but the way that you people,
You
the
people.
way that you people always talk about it, you talk about it as if
I'm better than you.
No. That's not what. Maybe a little bit, but like you talk about it as if you are being productive while playing the chess. You say something like, I'm putting my mind to work. I'm doing things for my mind. No, you're not. This is mindless. This is stupid. This is like me playing Space Cadet pinball on my computer in 1999. It is mindless. You don't do it for any sort of reason. You're not getting smarter. You're not playing against anybody. Chess is a game of wits. If you're playing against a computer, nothing is being accomplished. You're gaining no wit. The computer has no wit.
I'm playing against other people online across the globe.
Yeah, they're not. They don't care either. It's all mindless.
I agree to disagree.
Don't tell me that you're getting something out of this when you're not.
I'm getting enjoyment. I enjoy playing it. That's what I'm getting.
That's good. That's all for you, right?
Yes.
That's all for you.
For nobody else.
But you're talking about like, oh, my brain's better now.
No, I did not. I did not say that. But there are moments where I'm like, I'd rather play chess than scroll on YouTube Shorts, and that's sometimes what.
Given the two options, I suppose I'd rather have you play chess
in my free time, not on the clock. That's the crossover, powered by Everlevel Concrete Repair in Omaha and everlevelconcrete.com. Middays with Matt. Coming up next.
I need your help. I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later, and we're gonna hurt some people.
Whose car are we gonna take?
I have a lot of things I want to get off my chest.
That's an absolutely horse crap call.
Make room for Daddy. But they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
Chicago is.
This is Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
Middays with Matt live and rolling here. The 1620 Zone Radio Network. Matt McMaster, joined as always by Josh Odson. Happy April Fool's Day, Josh Odson.
Oh, what a glorious, glorious holiday for the worst person in your office.
Was this something that you celebrated as a kid growing up? Was this something
I
that
assume so.
Okay.
Nothing comes to mind immediately though.
this was always a fun day in the McMaster household?
Oh, really?
This was always the kids would always do a little prank for either on each other or on, the family or whatever. Like one year, my brother switched all of my dad's clothes in his drawer. So where the socks were, he put where the underwear was, where the underwear was, he put where the shirts were, where the shirts were. And so my dad almost missed the train for work one day because he just was like, and he had my dad's very specific in terms of how he gets ready for things and stuff like that. There was one year where I just kind of my brother woke up, went to school before I did, and then I literally took all of his clothes and I just spread it out all over his room, and I Axe body sprayed a bunch of stuff, kind of ruined his clothes for a couple of days. Mom was really mad about that because she's the one who had to do the laundry. So this was a very big day in the McMaster household. I don't know if it's a very big day in a lot of households across the country. It's now, though, a very big day on Twitter for all of these different sports teams to make fake announcements and whatnot.
God.
I knew you were going to hate this.
It's just the least funny things, which I guess is good because if you stray too close to it being believable, then you get in trouble.
I almost got by the Omaha Supernovas.
Oh.
Because have you seen what they tweeted out today?
No.
They were we have a new mascot, and it looked very ugly.
They are getting a new mascot this weekend.
But it's one of those things where there has been such a stretch of ugly looking mascots that have become popular that I thought they were playing into that bit. I thought they were playing into the, hey, we're going to have an ugly mascot because that's a funny thing to do and it gets a lot of attention now.
This is going to be volleyball's gritty.
Okay. But if we're being real here, and maybe Jeff Ekstrom is listening.
That's the goal, right?
If you end up on Bleacher Report, if you end up on ESPN, or if you end up hey, this is the Omaha Supernovas' new mascot, look how ugly it is, there's no such thing as bad publicity.
Right.
Now, would it scare the little children of Omaha? Very much so.
I just looked at Twinkle Toes. Twinkle Toes is frightening.
It is incredibly frightening. But I looked at it in the morning and I thought, oh, this might be something that we talk about, that we can make fun of. And then I was forgot the date.
A former guest of 1620 The Zone got today.
What happened?
This person who there was a big breakup between this person and the station when Matt Rule got hired. You know who I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
Retweeted a tweet that Jason Kidd has been fired by the Mavericks.
Was he very upset about it?
I don't know. They seem to have believed this tweet. But you can't stray too close to
No, you can't.
Actual believable news.
Twinkle Toes looks so disgusting. I do like, though, that the press release, due to unprecedented excitement surrounding our mascot reveal on Saturday, we have decided to move the introduction forward today. Say hello to the newest member of the Supernovas.
It's a great inroad to the reveal, right?
And then, but the description of Twinkle Toes is great because it plays into the Supernovas thing, where it goes, "We're not entirely sure where he came from. We're just gonna roll with it.
Mm-hmm.
Or they're like, they could have played Twinkle Toes off as like, oh, we planned so much and we were getting ready, and then he just showed up and he's like, I'm your mascot now. Can't do anything about it. Did you see the Cleveland Browns? That was a dumb one.
Yes.
That was a stupid one. That's not one. You got to border a little bit between reality. You got to, like, that was just like, oh, we're going to put
we got to do something.
Our helmet decal on our helmet, even though our helmet decal is our helmet. It wasn't really that good of it's not a great bit. It was not a great bit. But April Fool's Day is today. We are not going to be doing any sort of thing to be fooling our audience. We love and respect our audience, and we're not creative enough to.
They come to us for news and facts and opinion, and that's what we're going to give them.
I'm not a prank guy. I don't think you are either. I don't like being pranked. I don't like pranking people.
If somebody says, hey, we're going to prank, fill in the blank, I will go along with it. I will help if needed. I'm not going to sit here. I'm an adult. I don't have time
Thank
to
you.
like.
Thank you. I'm an adult.
Okay,
too.
let me get in the lab and think about how we can prank, fill in the blank.
No. I mean, like, it's fun maybe if you're a professional sports person or whatever, and like, the team camaraderie.
A lot of downtime.
Yeah, why not? I mean, it's funny. Oh, get the
like
camera.
Austin pranked you, and I let that happen because I didn't have to do anything but sit here and keep my mouth shut.
That, though,
it was great.
Was more than just a prank. That was a calculated attack. Like, he knew exactly what he was doing. Now, the best part is that he had no idea about the bet that was going up between Gary and I about the $100 bet. Because very, very nice of my former co-host to be like, look, I know you don't want to be leaving white monsters in the bathroom anymore. Let's do a $100 bet. And if you end up doing it, then you have to pay me $100. It is a deterrent from you doing that from here on out. And Austin had no idea. And so the reason why that was a great prank was because he thought I owed him $100 the entire show. The entire show. He's like, when are you going to pay me? I'm like, I didn't do it. God, Austin. Austin Jacobson was supposed to fill in for me on April 6th on Monday. Will not be filling in for me on April 6th on Monday.
Sad.
But we do have a very special person filling in on Monday. I don't know who he's going to find to be a guest on Monday. Because technically,
Robin Washut.
Oh, no. He comes on Tuesdays. I forgot. No, we revealed it. It's either Tim Verghese or Michael Severe. You're going to have to wait to find out who's filling in on Monday, April 6th.
Looking forward to it.
Be a very, very good time. Yeah, even Josh doesn't.
I know.
Josh has no clue. So I
don't want to know either. Nobody tell me.
You already know. Shut up. You already know. I've already told you. It's one of the two guys. But there is going to be a guest on today at 1:00 that we have, or I have no idea who it's going to be. It's Wacky Guest Wednesday here on Middays with Matt, where Josh books a wacky guest that I have no idea who they are, who's going to come on the show. But at 1:00, we will have that guest on. We also will have John Walker on at 11:00. I actually spent a lot of time yesterday with John Walker at the Nebraska Creighton baseball game. We had a great time together, sat down, we talked a little ball, talked a little shop. He will be on the show at 11 a.m. Probably have a little bit of the conversations that we had together off the air, on the air, together.
You're going to let us in?
We're going to let us into a little bit of what we talked about. Not everything that we talked about, but
not everything.
Not everything. No, you got to keep some things in chest. But John will come on at 11 a.m. And if it's anything like the conversations we had yesterday, I think a lot of people are going to enjoy the dialogue that we are going to have and the insights that John Walker has as to what will be an incredibly big offseason for Creighton men's basketball after having a down year that saw themselves not at the top of the Big East like they have been over the last couple of seasons with Greg McDermott. Now Alan Huss leading the way. What does Huss have to do in the offseason? What does he have to acquire in the transfer portal? Is there anything specific in the last hurrah of Greg McDermott that John Walker will be watching in the Crown Tournament, which begins tomorrow, where we will have coverage of that with Connor Happer and John Bishop, who will be boots on the ground in Vegas, thanks to our friends at Equitable Bank. Equitable Bank, they take banking personally. Don't forget to email us on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox, Matt at 1620 The Zone, Josh O at 1620 The Zone. We will have a look, 800 players are already in the transfer portal across college basketball.
That's too many.
That's a lot. And we're not going to have the same conversation that I feel like we've had over the last couple of years where it's like these kids, they're getting duped, they're like, all these guys are entering the portal. Some think they have homes and they're being told the wrong information. Unfortunately, that's just going to be the story year in and year out until there is a solitary system. And even then, so what is the solitary system? Your contract running out and nobody wanting to resign you, right? I mean, that happens in the NBA where we have a very established system in the NBA, and there are guys who their contracts run up and they don't end up being re-signed. It's just unfortunately in college basketball, some guys enter the transfer portal thinking that they have options, thinking that they'll end up somewhere, and unfortunately they're being given bad information. But the portal, which is supposed to open the day after the national championship game, which is April 7th, already has triple-digit players in there. Both Nebraska and Creighton are going to be hunting for some answers to get themselves back on track, or in Nebraska's case, try and improve on a historical basketball season. Yesterday on Instagram, if you were following a lot of people, a lot of the sentimental Nebraska basketball posts came out yesterday. Just a lot of people reflecting on the season, which I think is a good thing. We're at the point where it's like it's happened and the season isn't completely over, but the shock and disappointment of what happened in the Sweet 16 definitely, it hasn't worn off completely. I was reading yesterday
It never will.
Okay, so there was an article yesterday, and ESPN has been doing this the entirety of the NCAA tournament, where they go and they rank the pain index, right? Like how painful was that loss in the NCAA tournament. Now, and I don't disagree with this in any sort of capacity, the number one pain index loss so far, according to ESPN, has been Duke versus UConn, where Duke is controlling that game, 19-point lead. I mean, even when UConn was making their comeback, it's not like Duke Duke collapsed, but it took we kind of described it on the show on Monday, like it took a lot for UConn to come back and win that game.
Yeah, just pain. It was pain everywhere.
It was pain everywhere. And UConn really had to fight, and Duke, I mean, they just late game execution, where it got me thinking too, like, how many times has Duke really been in that situation this season where it's a very, very close game and they have to inbound the ball and they have to make their free throws and the other team is extending? Like, they've just had a lot of games this season where just blow a team out. Don't really matter. You're not really in the situation where you're up one and you have to execute the inbounds play, and you got to get the ball down the court, or you got to get fouled and make your free throws. But anyway, ESPN had a pain index that ranked all these games. You want to guess where Nebraska's loss to Iowa ended up on the ESPN pain index?
Okay, this is just for the tournament, right?
This is just for the tournament.
I will say number 2.
Okay. I thought it would be easy top 5 because
I guess there were a couple other buzzer beaters. Maybe Kentucky's overtime win is in there somewhere.
But here's the point. Like, they do a lot of math in this, where it's like, what was your win probability with how much to go, right? Nebraska was 14th on their pain index.
Okay.
They were behind Siena. They were behind High Point. They were behind Virginia. Like, I don't know, man. Like, Nebraska basketball had never been to a Sweet 16. Before this NCAA tournament, they had never won a game in the tourney. They get to the Sweet 16 after a thrilling victory over Vanderbilt, who, by the way, ranked 6th on this pain index, which I don't fully disagree, just because that half-court shot, like, can you imagine if the roles were reversed? Can you imagine if Price Sanford put that shot up and it went halfway down and it popped out? Like, how painful that would be for Nebraska basketball fans. But to be 14th and behind some of those teams, Nebraska basketball lost. Not just they lost to the Sweet 16, they lost to their bitter rival.
Yeah. I have gone through Duke's schedule this year very quickly.
Oh, wow. Look at
They
us.
played 5 one-possession games.
Okay.
They went 3-2 in those.
Wow, great stat, Josh.
Thank you.
It's a phenomenal job. So obviously, and I'm going to be real with you, if you want a reflection on coaching, specifically in basketball, it's how do you execute in late games, right? Because that's situational basketball. That's things that you can practice. That's things that you can execute. And Hayden Boozer, who it'll be interesting to see what he does, whether or not he enters the NBA draft or stays for a year at Duke. I actually think that it'd be very interesting if he ended up staying a year at Duke. I think that I'm being real with you. I mean, obviously, unfortunately for Caden, we are only going to remember his gaffe at the end of the game against UConn. That unfortunately cost his team the game. I thought he had a phenomenal tournament. I thought he really, really kept that team together, and especially in the beginning parts of that game, had a really good game against UConn overall. Currently, right now, he's not mocked on a Tankathon mock draft to go in the NBA draft. So probably be good for him if he stays here and maybe raises up that draft stock. He still has an incredible amount of talent playing for Duke. But it was just a good little segue there, reading some ESPN articles. We will continue to talk, though, about the NCAA tournament. The PR team released yesterday some very interesting numbers about, once again, a record-breaking NCAA tournament for college basketball. This is the most viewed overall tournament since 1993, according to their viewership and their numbers. Duke and UConn peaked at 19 million viewers. 19 million people tuned in to that game at its apex. Incredible stuff for the NCAA that has been killing it this regular season and had a record-setting first two rounds of the NCAA tournament, and now that's just continued to kind of snowball into more records being broken. What does that mean for Rev Share? What does that mean for schools' overall interest in investing in basketball? Because obviously college football is king, and it always will be king, but you cannot deny that the popularity of the sport in particular, because of the quality of the sport, is rising due to NIL, the transfer portal, and guys staying as opposed to lobbying to go to the NBA. What does that mean in terms of athletic departments' investments into basketball? Could that go up? It certainly seems like, by the way, this kind of hit me yesterday. We already did talk about it. Jake Bartecki of NCN had that interview with Troy Dannon. If we harken back to it, right, Troy? He asked Troy, hey, straight up, and credit to Jake, he's going, hey, what are the donors thinking? Like what's going on there? And Troy goes, I got donors calling me. I got donors who want to give me money to invest in this team, which that statement is a little bit funny considering the fact that doesn't sound like the brand deals that you're supposed to go through the NIL CSC Go clearinghouse. I don't know. That statement just makes it out to be like, you think Troy Dannon is really that scared of what the arbitration case is going to look like between the College Sports Commission and those 18 Nebraska football players who are waiting to get their deals approved with Playfly Sports? That doesn't sound like a man who's too concerned. When he just goes, yeah, we got donors who are just like ready to support the basketball team. So that was I didn't realize it in the moment, but talking about it with people yesterday, it kind of makes you realize, wow, if he's confident enough to just tell people, yeah, hey, donors are lining up to give us a bunch of money, then maybe it kind of it might in a way exude his confidence over to what that arbitration case is going to look like between all of those football players and the College Sports Commission, which we are waiting a decision on. We'll also continue to talk about the NFL annual meeting. I believe it's wrapped up, but we got a lot of drops yesterday from owners and some reporters. We got some answers on the A.J. Brown situation. A big hot button topic yesterday at the owners, at the annual NFL meeting, especially from the owners, was an 18-game season. Owners are really pushing to add an extra game to the NFL season. What the plan is to eliminate a preseason game, so you only have 2 preseason games before you hit the regular season. Add an additional regular season games. So you would have 18 regular season games, but also adding an additional bye. So the season would be 20 weeks with 18 games. We have pulled some drops from owners ranging from Jerry Jones to Carly Ursay-Gordon about their stance on the 18-game season. I have some thoughts about whether or not this is a good decision for the league, good decision for the players, good decision for the fans, and good decisions from the owners. We'll also talk about some more NFL draft stuff as well. Seems like a lot of teams are kind of stockpiling picks and waiting for the 2027 quarterback class to shake itself out to go and get a guy who might be Arch Manning or Dante Moore or Julian Sayin, to name a couple of quarterbacks. Bold strategy, Cod. See how it works out for them. We'll talk about why that might be a bold strategy and could it end up biting them in the butt. We will also talk about JD Pickle from On 3. He broke down.
The Pickle Man.
The Pickle Man is back. He has gone ahead and broken down a spring football highlight for Nebraska football. And then
my name's Pickle.
JD Pickle. Should have JD on. JD, how do you? That'd be a good wacky guest.
He'd be very wacky.
Very
yes.
wacky. Made a 9-minute video off of one highlight. As a man of the content game, I was impressed. I'm going to be real with you.
Sicko.
I was impressed. As I am a sicko.
Yeah, the Pickle Man.
The guy took a 6-second clip and he turned it into 9 minutes of content that got thousands of views from Husker fans. I can't help but clap about it. I mean, the fact that you took 6 seconds and you stretched it into 9 minutes, he even got Dylan Raiola in there.
Dylon?
I know. He even hit us with some Dylon clickbait.
Nobody seems to care that we call him Dylon now, do ya?
Dylon. I didn't even know you had a Dylon drop. That was great stuff. So JD talked about that. The reason why we're going to talk about what JD said was just because this is the first time, at least I've seen, I don't know if there's been a lot of other stuff out there about it, but this is the first time that I've seen a national talking head have an opinion on Nebraska football, especially one that was so bullish on what was happening in 2023. We'll play some clips from JD's YouTube video, what to buy, what to sell from it, what's the vibe. It's just kind of interesting to see how does the national media approach the Husker football season compared to what the local media is looking at, and do some of the things that they are talking about, some of the issues that they are pointing out, and some of their beliefs, does it match up to the local vibe around here, which obviously the theme of the spring has been the vibes being low, the unsportsmanlike content boys, content and sportsmanlike conduct.
No, you were right the first time.
Have deemed it the bad vibes off season. Does that match up?
Oh, bad vibe? I think it's no vibes.
Well, yeah,
that can be bad.
I think it is. I think it's one and the same. Does that match up with JD? Does JD have bad vibes? Does he have no vibes, or does he have a lot of vibes? We will play some clips and we will talk about it. We also, speaking about spring football, we have something a little fun for you kids. New segment today.
I got to put that in the computer. When are we doing that?
At 12 o'clock,
okay.
We will do it. So we're stapled. We are stapled here. 11 o'clock, we have Walker. 12 o'clock, we got our fun new segment. 1 o'clock, we have our wacky guest. So we'll be moving in that direction. We'll talk about a lot of things real quickly before we hit a break here on the 1620 The Zone Radio Network. We do have some news, not breaking, but we have some news. It does surround somebody in Husker basketball. The University of Northern Iowa has gone ahead and hired their new head basketball coach, Kyle Green.
Couldn't have waited a day to hire this guy and put that graphic out there, because that looks fake.
Oh, on April Fool's? Well, It's officially on the UNIPanthers.com website.
No, it's a real announcement. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to confuse anyone. I just think that today is maybe not the day to announce
Probably
things.
not. Probably not. I don't think North Carolina will be announcing a head coach on April Fool's Day. That would become a meme. Kyle Green is the new head coach of the UNI Panthers.
Now, that's not the guy every single person tweeted last night.
I'm going to be real with you.
Telling me to watch out for.
I'm going to be real with you. This was a decision that Northern Iowa had some decisions to make here. Northern Iowa
They had 3 good candidates.
Had 3 solid candidates to that. It'll be interesting. It was going to be interesting to see what path they were going to go down, right? Because Kyle Green has been a coach, an experienced coach in basketball, 30 years as a coach in college basketball, has been a head coach before in his career. 16 of those 30 years has been with Northern Iowa. Also, if you're a Northern Iowa fan, you already know Green, a very popular last name, right? AJ Green, his son has his name up in the rafters, an NBA player.
Okay.
I believe last time I saw AJ, I think he was playing for the Milwaukee Bucks. But anyway, experienced coach, knows Northern Iowa, has been there for a very long time. Obviously, his son had played there, has his name in the rafters. And then also, too, you got to think about in this day and age, you got a coach whose son has what? NBA money.
Oh.
Right? Maybe a little bit of a donation. And up a little bit what, Ben Jacobson, I don't even think he had a buyout for to be taken from Northern Iowa. So that definitely could be playing a factor when you're deciding this. Now, Seth Tuttle was the other option for Northern Iowa. He had been on their coaching staff for the last 8 seasons. A little bit on the younger side, though. 33 years. Obviously did have the support of a lot of people around the program because of the fact that he's been with the program for an extended period of time, internal hire, understands the program, keep some roster continuity potentially, but they decided to go the more veteran route, hiring Kyle Green, who has been a head coach almost as long as Tuttle has been alive. At the same point, though, Nate Lesnar, very much a part of the conversation, the assistant coach for Nebraska, essentially kind of their defensive coordinator over the last couple of seasons. And obviously, if you're going to hire a DC in college sports, in basketball, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hire the guy who his defense carried a team to a historical season. And that's exactly what Lesnar was able to establish this season and over the last couple of seasons here at Nebraska. Definitely had the backing of the former Northern Iowa athletic director, Troy Dannon, and obviously Fred with his connections in Iowa was as well. I think it was obviously a good look from Northern Iowa to see all of the connections that Nebraska basketball has. And Nate's from Cedar Falls, Iowa, too, and has coached in Iowa State as well. So I think Northern Iowa had 3 very viable options that they could have taken here. Do you keep the continuity hire? Do you go back to the well with Kyle Green, who obviously understands the program? Or, do you go with Lesnar, who's done some great things and has some Iowa connections himself, along with the people that are around him? They decide to go with Green. I think it's a very solid choice. I don't know if there was really a wrong decision here from Northern Iowa and the Panthers.
Up against it, but very quickly, let me tell you what I almost did last night. Every person who reports on Husker basketball told me, maybe you watch out for this guy. I almost reported it. I almost said, I am ready to report that Nate Lesnar will be the next head basketball coach in Northern Iowa, just to see what would happen, just to see if I could get it aggregated. Luckily, I didn't.
Luckily, you did not. Luckily, we're going to have John Walker coming up next here on Middays with Matt, talking Creighton men's basketball here on the 1620 The Zone Radio Network.
Now, back to Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
We are a day away from the college basketball crown, where our two favorites, Connor Happert and John Bishop, will be there on the call as Creighton plays in Las Vegas in the final games under Coach Greg McDermott. It will be a very interesting sight to see. Creighton playing in April. That's what counts. That's what matters. That's what people talk about. That's what you want to be doing. That's what they are doing starting tomorrow. And bringing on somebody who will be writing about it is what we're going to do next. John Walker of the Omaha World Herald joins us here on the 1620 The Zone Radio Network. John, how are you?
Man, I'm good. The crown actually starts today for the real sick ones out there. I think it's Colorado and Oklahoma and Baylor versus, I don't know, insert some team that finished close to 500. So, yeah, like the crown gets going today, but yeah, it feels like we still have an eternity until the Jays play tomorrow at what is scheduled to be and is very unlikely to be, as we all know, 9:30 p.m. Central. Other than that, I'm good. How the heck are you, Matt?
I'm doing great. It was great to hang out with you yesterday. It was great to see you.
Baylor,
yesterday.
Minnesota, by the way, guys.
Oh, thank you. Nico Medved will be coaching in the crown. Look at that. Jacob Bigelow's boy. John Walker, how was baseball?
That's right.
Did you enjoy your time at a baseball game? It was a weird environment to see you in.
Yeah, why was it a weird environment to see me?
You're a basketball guy, you know?
I'm an everything guy. I'm just really good at basketball.
Yeah, that's a good point. Everything guy, John Walker. Let's talk about everything Creighton Blue Jays today. Where do you want to start? Do you want to start on some newcomers? Do you want to start on the offseason transfer portal talk? Where do you want to go?
Yeah, dealer's choice.
All right. Control Harmon.
Wherever your heart takes you.
Let's talk about Control Harmon, the 4-star high school prospect, the only high school prospect now that Creighton is going to be taking in this season, unless they get a late addition in the 2026 recruiting class. What can you tell me about Control? Will he have a role on the team next season?
Yeah, I think so. Like, all indications are, and who knows what will happen over the summer. But as of now, all indications are that Control Harmon is going to come to Creighton and try and compete to have a role from day one. That that's what he wants to do. And obviously, Creighton would love that because they have some backcourt holes to fill, Matt. Both Josh Dix and Nick Graves are gone, will be gone. They're the only two seniors on this team. So, transfer portal attrition will hit, I'm sure. But as things stand right now, those are the only two that Creighton will definitively lose. And it's not the best thing in the world to lose your starting backcourt, right?
Yeah.
So Creighton's going to have two holes to fill at the 1 and the 2. And I think Cottrell wants to, and I think Creighton would love for the freshman to come in and help fill one of those voids day one. But we'll certainly see how he develops over the summer once he gets here. I think I'm going to butcher the name of his prep school, so I'm not even going to do it.
Sure.
But I think they play in the Chipotle Nationals tonight. So,
oh, wow.
If people tonight or tomorrow, I can't remember which one. So, yeah, if Creighton fans want to get a glimpse of Control Harmon, I believe there'll be plenty of opportunity to do so this week and through the weekend, as long as his team keeps playing in Chipotle Nationals.
It's one of those things where the transfer portal isn't open, but yet we're getting official announcements, whether it be from players specifically or their agents or media people, that certain players are entering the transfer portal. Jeff Goodman tweeted as early as yesterday that 800 players had indicated that they're going to the portal. Portal isn't even open yet, and so that number is only going to go up. And I believe currently right now we haven't seen anyone specifically from Creighton announce that they're going to go into the portal. But the travel roster for the Crown was announced by the Blue Jays a couple of days ago. One Austin Schwarz was not on that list. I think some people were speculating about that. What is your take on Schwarz not being on the travel roster?
Yeah, I don't think his status for the Crown is indicative of his status for next season, one way or the other. I'm not saying that he won't transfer. I'm not saying that he'll stay put. Like I think his status and him not traveling to the Crown is kind of irrespective as to whatever happens when the portal opens next Tuesday. Like Austin has been dealing with a lingering, nagging ankle issue. It doesn't sound to be anything major, but an ankle issue nonetheless. And I believe it happened in the Georgetown game at Georgetown, or somewhere right around there. Because I remember asking Austin through the final couple weeks of the season, like, how have you played through the ankle injury? And he was like, yeah, like, it's February, almost March. So like, I don't really have time to worry about a minor ankle injury. If I can play through it, I'm going to play through it. And it's here nor there. I talked about it on Half Court Press with Wilson yesterday. Is like, you're also in this climate, you have to make business decisions, right? So whether Austin Schwarz is going somewhere else or whether he's going to be here, again, that's irrespective of his status for the Crown. His best interest was staying behind, getting his ankle looked at / worked on, and so that he could get back to the court as soon as possible and have most of his off season, right? We don't know the extent of the ankle or what the recovery or treatment might look like, right? So but the fact of the matter is, you want to go ahead and get stuff like that taken care of. And Austin Schwarz was not going to show anything in the Crown that he hadn't through the first 31 games of the season, right? Or 32 games if you throw in the Big East tournament. So it was really kind of like a business decision, if you will, for everyone involved, for Austin to just kind of go ahead and get this nipped in the bud and get the lingering, nagging ankle issue taken care of. Because as nice as it is, of course, for them to want to send out the seniors on a high note and Mac on a high note, like, this is relatively meaningless basketball. And so, this goes for any guy in this situation, in Austin Schwartz's situation. This is where you start getting into the business decision. Is like, do you want to risk further damaging your ankle when you know that you're going to ask some team for 1, money, and 2, a role next season, which is a heck of a lot easier to do if you have 2 fully healthy ankles compared to saying, oh, I'm going to miss most of the off season, or I'm going to miss some of the off season, right? Whatever the circumstance is. Sure. So that's a long, meandering way to say, I saw all of the speculation about Austin Schwarz not being on the travel roster, and if that was an indictment of whether he's transferring or not. I don't believe that to be the case.
Very good. Great answer there from John Walker, giving you all the details on Austin Schwarz and his unavailability in the Crown in Las Vegas, which Creighton tips off at tomorrow. Let's talk about the transfer portal between you and I, because you have made your stance pretty clear that you were not of the belief that they were going to blow up the roster or strip down the roster, whatever adjective you want to do there. You have held the very firm that you thought that a lot of the pieces that you saw this season for the Blue Jays will be there next season. Now, something has changed since you said that, which is the head coach. When you were making those statements, Greg McDermott was the head coach. Alan Huss is now the head coach. Are you still standing firm or still in the belief that there won't be as much movement within the Creighton roster as maybe people believe there to be, considering the disappointing season they had?
Yeah, I think a lot of people, particularly in the fan base, wanted to see a complete rebuild. We can keep this guy, and everybody else can be gone. And the fact of the matter is, that is not going to happen, right? the Jays are going to do what they need to do to retool the roster, and I'm glad that they're going to do that, right? But retention is still such a key piece of today's game. I wrote about it a couple of weeks ago in a story. Like, I threw some retention numbers out there that have, I can't remember exactly what it was because a lot's happened since then. But I remember, like, the top 5 power conference teams that returned of the top 5 power conference team that returned like the most points production from a season ago, like 4 of the 5 finished higher in KenPom this year than they did last season. So there's like a direct correlation between retention. And of course there is, right? Now it'll be a little bit different because, as you pointed out, Matt, you know, like the continuity from Greg McDermott's system to Alan Huss's system, albeit similar, is going to be different. Like, sure, right? But the fact of the matter is, one of the big things that Alan Huss wants to build or continue with this program is its culture. And I think that's a cliche. And Alan Huss admittedly said it was a cliche in his intro presser, right? But like, it's true. It's true. Like, that place has a certain culture, a certain way it goes about things, from Dana Altman to Greg McDermott, and now Alan Huss wants to continue that. And you only get that if you have retention, if you have continuity, if you have consistency in your roster from year to year. And so I don't think, like, the roster needs work. I've been adamant about that. They have things that they need to get, and they have holes that they need to fill. We're all well aware of that. But my stance has been, and I think still is, even through the coaching change, that, like, it's a heck of a lot easier to retain your guys than it is to go speed date in the transfer portal.
Yeah.
And so I think that Creighton is not going to blow up the roster. There will be people that leave. There will be people that stay. But like, this complete rebuild that people wanted, I don't think is going to happen. I wouldn't expect to happen. But yeah, I guess all of that to say, I just think more people, or there will be an effort to retain more people than most fans anticipated.
Okay. Now, is there your take on what they need? Is it, do you think the price is going to be higher this season than it was last season for Creighton to go and get kind of the, I mean, if you're looking at what they needed last year, right? Needed to go and get a point guard. They needed to go and get a big man, especially one that could protect the rim. They're kind of looking at acquiring the same thing. Has the market changed? Can the interest changed enough, though, across college basketball this last season, especially with some of the teams that have had success, especially with their front courts? Is it going to be more difficult, you think, to acquire those players?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's for 3 reasons. One that you just pointed out is now, this season in particular, I think you could officially look at the data and realize we are returning to an era that is run by the bigs. Like, these teams that have 2 daunting front court pieces at the 4 and the 5, those are the teams that are still playing right now.
Yeah.
And for the most part, right? Like, there's a few, of course, that are not still playing, but you look at the 4 teams that are still playing and you're like, yeah, those are some pretty darn good front courts. And it worked for Florida last year as well.
Yeah.
So, like, it worked for Purdue with Zach Edey. And of course, as I'm getting to right here in the backyard, Matt, it worked so well with Ryan Kalkbrenner at Creighton, right?
Yeah.
If you have one of those elite centers, you know, he really can alter the game on both ends of the floor. So I think that the price will be higher because, or it'll be harder to obtain elite bigs because of that. Because everyone wants an elite big right now because they see how impactful it can be. Number two, Matt, is that yesterday's price is not today's price.
Yeah.
Like, there is such thing as portal inflation, and we are seeing that this year. For example, Ryan Kalkbrenner got paid $1 million by Creighton, give or take, in the ballpark of $1 million his last year, okay? If Ryan Kalkbrenner hit the transfer portal and was on the open market tomorrow,
good Lord,
what is a guy like that getting? He's getting $3 million if he wants it. You know what I mean? Like, easy.
Yeah.
He's getting $3 million if he wants it. So, like, that's another reason why it's going to be harder to get what I consider, like, I don't know, probably not behind like a floor general point guard, which again every other team in the country wants, but like an elite big might be the second most invaluable position in college basketball right now, given what we've seen over the past few seasons.
Now I know they might. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So it's just like, that's the third thing, Matt, is that everyone in the country, every team is entering the portal, entering the off season saying, we've got to get better at point guard and we've got to get an elite center. So like, get your pocketbook ready and get in line.
Okay. So
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like everybody wants those two positions.
So let's have this conversation then, because then you got to start cutting costs and you got to start thinking about your finances and you got to start thinking about, okay, what is the most efficient way to accomplish these things? If they can make the money work, is there a reality where a guy that a lot of people just assume may not be on the roster, at least fans assume may not be on the roster, but is there a reality if they can make the money work, obviously, where Owen Freeman is back on the roster next season?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
And I've been on record like a couple of times saying that like I think a fresh start would be advantageous for both sides. I think everyone would agree on that outside looking in. Here's the really interesting thing, Matt, is that in some way, if both sides want to make it work, the coaching change from Greg McDermott to Alan Huss is a fresh start. So, like, is that possible?
Sure.
Yeah, like, I guess so.
Sure.
But again, both parties would have to want that. And this sounds so crazy that we're having like this particular conversation in what I'm about to say, because that's just where we are in this climate, right?
Sure.
You're exactly right. And that's when you have to start cost cutting and this, that, and the other, because you definitely, if you're Creighton, you definitely, in my opinion, could not go to Owen Freeman and say, we're going to pay you exactly what we paid you last year.
No.
As one of the top transfer portal big men, right?
No.
So then it would, like, you would think it'd be, okay, here's our number. And I'm generally speaking here. This does not pertain just to Owen Freeman. Like, this is how the transfer portal works nowadays. You go to the guy and you say, hey, like, this happened. Obviously, it didn't work out. We're not going to pay you what we paid you last year, though. And then it would be up to the player, in this instance, Owen Freeman, to decide if they want to come back in that role at a lower number and try and earn more or have a different role or whatever the situation might be. But yeah, like that's where it gets really interesting. So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with that specific situation. But it doesn't seem like out of the realm of possibility. Like I wouldn't say it's like 100% done or whatever. And I'm not saying that on any merit, really, just to be clear.
Sure.
Just kind of reading between the lines, but like, yeah. I think, I guess I would say there's a non-zero chance.
Okay.
As slim as it could be.
Sure.
I guess I would say there's a non-zero chance that Owen Freeman's back. But again, it would definitely take both sides, kind of coming to an agreement, to a mutual understanding of what the role is going to be next year and kind of what the expectations are. The other thing is, Matt, like, I don't know, if you get a guy like that back on what we can then consider a budget deal, right? like, we are talking about one of the top transfers in the portal last year. We are talking about a former Big Ten freshman of the year. Like, we would then get to see if we would then get to see exactly how much the meniscus injury last offseason derailed Owen Freeman's junior campaign. We would really get to see that because, of course, the goal would be that he has a full off season this summer and he settled into Huss's system. Like, the thing that a lot of us forget, myself included, is that he wasn't cleared until mid-October. So the reps that all of these guys were getting in July, in August, in September, he didn't start getting until November, December, January. So, like, he was just naturally behind, and that's kind of what happens with an injury like that. And, you know, it's well documented, everything that he went through the season. But, yes, I know that's a long-winded answer to your question. But, yeah.
Hey, it was great answers from you, John Walker, as we kind of dove into the transfer portal and what the offseason might look like for the Creighton Blue Jays under new head coach Alan Huss. John, as always, thank you so much for joining us here on Middays with Matt. Look forward to talking to you in the future, my friend.
Yes, sir. See you soon.
See you soon. John Walker. We were watching the Creighton Nebraska game together.
Look at you guys out and about.
Over at the Chuck Box.
Two men about town.
Two men just about. I got my hot girl walk in across the concourse at the Chuck. Did a couple of laps.
Dog? Did you get a dog?
I did. No, I got a burger.
Okay.
Got good. I got a
selection.
burger. Had some relish and mustard on my burger.
Okay.
Wish they had some sport peppers over at Charles Schwab Field. That would be my only critique.
If anyone's listening.
Everything else, though, I love the concession stands over at the Chuck. You know, I love that they got the little beer stands that are separated from the rest of the food. But if you want to just get like a Miller Lite or a White Claw, you can go right up there. Food pretty decent from what I've had. I have had a hot dog there before at the Schwab. Very much enjoyed it. I like going to baseball games at Charles Schwab Field. It's very enjoyable.
It's a good park.
It's a very good park. Very good park. Very friendly park.
Good game last night.
It was a very good game last night. Nebraska men's baseball. 18 of their last 19 wins. The last 16 times before this game, these two sides had played, Creighton was 13-3. Nebraska baseball gets over the hump against them. A very tightly contested game. Really came down to defense. Nebraska made some really good defensive plays. Creighton not so much. I mean, you know, the double into the left field gap, right field gap that scored a run. You know, that was a really close play. Maybe if the right fielder takes a better angle, he's able to snag it. Obviously, the one that everybody knows gets lost in the lights in left field, goes over the outfielder's head, scores a run. But Creighton, you know, threatened Nebraska, 6th inning, took advantage of free passes that were handed out, scored 5 runs, some really good defensive plays by Nebraska. One, obviously, being the play at the plate that stopped the run from coming in. And then Jay Sean Unger, man, 6 out save, battled through some traffic in that 9th inning to secure the victory. Moyer, who grabbed the last out of the game. That ball was that fly ball was high in the air, and with how the wind was blowing, I think if you were there in the stands, you're like, oh, I don't know if that's as routine as you think it is, because that thing is high and that wind is kind of howling. Now I think it was a little bit less than what it was earlier in the game, but regardless, able to come down with the fly ball, 6-5 win for the Nebraska Corn Huskers. Fun baseball game. That game was it's always got something. Always got a lot of pitchers, always got a lot of runs, always got just midweek college baseball, if you will, but a very enjoyable time. I think over 4,000 people went to the Chuck yesterday to watch that one. Crowd was pretty good. So that was enjoyable. Well, John, just as much as that interview was, we'll go ahead and talk about we'll pivot a little bit here. We will talk about Nebraska football coming up next. Some national media head. I was going to say heads, but it's just one national media head. Had some things to say.
Singular head.
About Husker football. Do we agree? Do we disagree with his analysis over the Nebraska football team? We will discuss next here on Middays.
Now back to Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
Spring football is over. Or is it? We might have a little treat for you, you kids at 12 o'clock. Fun little segment here that we'll see how long we can do it. We can see how much fun we're gonna have with it. But just tune in up until 12 to see what we've gotten cooking here on Middays with Matt. But we will touch on some Nebraska football because, obviously the vibes around here locally, whether it be from fans and from certain people in the media, definitely have not been as high or as optimistic or as exciting as it's been in the past. And I think there are obvious reasons for that frankly date back to even before Matt Rule was the head coach, because this isn't just, we've been excited for football for the last 3 seasons and we've been disappointed in one way or the other. I mean, it's more so a 10-year stretch now of having high and optimistic expectations for this Nebraska football team and them not living up to it. And I totally understand the fan perspective in terms of why would I do the same thing over and over and over again? Why would I continue to get excited and potentially be disappointed when it comes to the football that is going to be played in August, September, October, and November? And I also understand the perspective of the Nebraska football team kind of embracing that and being like, okay, it's probably what we need. We're just going to be quiet and we're going to get good at football and we're going to work hard. And, we know that we have a lot of work to get done. And we know that we have a tough schedule coming up and we have to hunker down and we're not going to really worry about what people think about us or whether or not the noise is loud or optimistic or pessimistic. And so I understand why not only some people have maybe coined this offseason as the bad vibes offseason, but also why it's mainly been coined as the quiet offseason. And that's totally fine and that's totally okay. But I've always been curious as to how the national media was going to view the 4th season at Nebraska under Matt Rule, because there were a lot of media last season that was excited for year 3 of Matt Rule. There were multiple national media platforms and talking heads and pundits and whatever the heck you want to call them that were all in on year 3 Matt Rule and all in on the jump that Nebraska football can take and all in on the schedule that appeared to be, I don't want to say easy, but definitely more favorable than the other draws they could have gotten, especially more favorable than the draw they got this year. And so I've just always been curious as to, all right, especially the guys who were very high on Nebraska football, how are they going to approach this season? What are they going to say about Matt Rule? What are they going to say about this team? Are they going to backpedal? Are they going to be pessimistic? Are they going to say, hey, Matt Rule, I know he's got the extension, but, there might be some trouble in Lincoln? Or are they going to double down? Are they going to say, you know what, it didn't work out last year, but these are the reasons why nationally and maybe from you could argue maybe from a less biased perspective, say, no, this is the reason why I believe that year 4 is going to be the year. I've been curious about that. Well, yesterday we had a national talking head do a 9-minute video about Nebraska football. JD Pickell. Is it Pickell or I've
don't know. Connor and I always had the joke of it's Pickell, and I don't know if that was a joke or if that's I really
don't. I've listened to this guy before multiple times. I've seen his clips. I really don't know how to say his last name.
The Pickle Man.
The Pickle Man. Of On3 on his YouTube channel. So go ahead and if you want to check out the full video, it's on the On3 YouTube channel of him talking about his outlook on Nebraska football based off of a 7-second clip, which was a good highlight. It was Anthony Calandria throwing a ball in the end zone to Quinn Clark, who had a one-handed touchdown. Now, I do want to expand on the context of the video. The context of the video is spring propaganda. He is trying to give you a little bit of excitement. And I was curious as to what the points he was going to make for that. And so here is the first one on the Clark catch.
The thing about Quinn Clark, too, like he didn't show up at Nebraska with a ton of
fanfare.
fanfare.
Oh, this is the wrong one. One more.
Sorry.
It's this one. Here it is.
Back to last year and the struggles you had in the red zone. Now, don't get it twisted. Nebraska was not like a laughing stock in the red zone, but they're not where they need to be to get to where they want to go. Like Nebraska is now going on year 4 of the Matt Rule era. And this is the guy behind the mic that kept saying year 3, year 3, year 3, year 3 came and went. You're still feeling a little bit uneasy as to where this ship is headed in Lincoln. A big reason why, in my opinion, is the red zone scoring offense can't be 86% and go be a team that wins 9-10. It's got to be better. It's got to be better. And now I hate that take because it's just a lazy take to make. You know, anyone can sit back here and say, oh, what you did on the field wasn't good enough last year. That's not helpful. That's not novel analysis. What I think is worth unpacking is what Nebraska will be able to do to be better here in 2026 has a lot more prongs to it.
All right. So let's touch on, let's actually work back to front there. Okay. He says that saying that what your expectations were last season were not met on the field, and that's a lazy take. See, I'm going to disagree on the wording on that. I don't think it's a lazy take. I think it's just a fact. Like I don't think that's an opinion. I don't think that's a take. I think it's just is what happened.
You don't have to know ball to know that. Right?
No,
right.
you don't have to do any sort of major analysis to say, hey, what we thought and what was the belief heading into the season was not met by the product on the field. Okay.
You don't have to know ball that the pickle man has a very, very clogged nose during that clip as well.
He does. But it's so I don't necessarily agree with JD's analysis in terms of, well, it's a lazy take. No, JD, it's just what I saw. It's just what happened. This was a team that, did not win their Vegas win total. It was a team that had the aspirations of being 8-4, 9-3. This is a team that, you hadn't seen win that very big game. Now, credit to Nebraska football. They did solve the winning the close game problem they had last year, but they didn't have that signature victory. And you wanted that signature victory heading into last season, and you didn't get it. And obviously, too, it ended in a very just ugly fashion with the blowouts that happened. So I disagree in terms of it being a lazy take. I don't think it's lazy. I think it's just what happened. Now, what he's saying, let's now go forward, right? We're working back to front. You go to the front. No, I don't think JD is off, and he makes some points later in his YouTube video, that Nebraska, if they're going to get better, needs to be better in the red zone. Obviously, I think that's some smart analysis right there. And he also adds the fact that Calandra having legs and being able to run adds an element to the red zone offense that, frankly, Dylan Raiola could not add to. And JD also goes one step farther and says, look, it's not like Dylan Raiola couldn't make that fade throw in the back of the end zone to a wide receiver, but you watch the games, Josh. I watch the games. The people who are listening to the show, whether it be on 1620 or 97.7 The Zone or the YouTube channel, The Zone YouTube TV.
So many
page,
ways to get us.
So many people watched the games last season. How many times do we remember Dylan Raiola missing a fade ball in the end zone? Happened quite a bit.
When he had the cojones to attempt it.
Happened quite a bit. And so, yeah, I agree with JD. The fact that you're seeing Calandra make that throw, and the fact that Calandra has that mobility, he has that agility to make those plays, definitely gives Nebraska the possibility of being better in the red zone. And obviously, if this team, the margin for error, especially when you're playing these better teams, are going to be much smaller, you got to capitalize when you get within the 20-yard line. And you cannot be, and we had this discussion before too, you can't be trading, 7 for 3. Now, if you want to hearken back to Nebraska's red zone offense last year, which according to CFBstats.com ranked 66th in the country, it was some short yardage problems. mean, there were multiple 3rd and shorts, 4th and shorts, especially the one against Michigan and the one against Penn State too in the first drive of the game, where Nebraska was in the red zone and they have short yardage. They have a short yardage situation. They weren't able to convert it. With Calandria, you can do, maybe he pulls his own read, right? And he runs that. And so you kind of add that element to it of his running ability. But I also think, too, it just stops and ends with your running backs have to be better in short yardage, too. Does Quinn Ives finally develop into that guy? Who's to say? Does Jamal Rule, who we've talked about a lot ever since the spring game and has been getting a lot of hype and has gained a lot of weight, like we talked with Tim Verghese yesterday, does he now fill that role at short yardage? So there's a little bit more to the Anthony Calandria immediately makes Nebraska football better in the red zone. As much as it is, you still need some execution in those short yardage situations, running backs, which you hope that you get, and that's going to fall a lot on the shoulders of EJ Barthel and developing that young and slightly inexperienced, I mean, overall pretty inexperienced running back room. Now, there's something else that JD said during this video in regards to Matt Rule. Let's play this here. Now, he's talking about Quinn Clark, which we saw in very small increments last season, Quinn Clark catch the football and make plays. Do want to point out, though, Quinn, every time he did it, you're like, whoa. You're like, wow, because of his size, because of his length. And that is a guy, too, that when we talk, and I talk to people about the depth of the wide receiver room, that's always a dude that people go, hey, don't forget about him. Don't forget about that guy. So let's see what JD had to say about Quinn Clark and Matt Rule.
The thing about Quinn Clark, too, like he didn't show up at Nebraska with a ton of fanfare. Not knocking the guy, it's just kind of the fact of the matter. He's a guy that has been, I think, true to the Matt Rule process, shows up as a lower profile recruit, true to the system. Now in year 3, with a play like that, starting to see more return on his own investment into the process for Matt Rule. That's kind of been the thing with Matt Rule throughout the entirety of his career. Yes, he'll recruit hard. Yes, he's going to win on the relationship front. Yes, he's going to go and try and find the best players he can find, whether it be portal or high school level, to build his roster. But the thing with Matt Rule is he is one of the best freaking evaluators in the game, one of the best developers in the game. Like, we'll take the 3-star kid, put him on our system for 2 years. By year 3, he's playing like a 4-star, playing close to 5-star level. You would hope that's the thing here with Quinn Clark.
I think that's a statement that probably would be more correct a couple of seasons ago. I think that's probably something you could have said in year 1 about Matt Rule, and people would have jumped on and said, yeah, JD's right. That's why I got hired. That's what he did to Temple. That's what he did to Baylor. He's got a long history of doing that. I think if you said that in year 2, you would say, you know what? Yeah, kind of. I mean, look at Ty. Look at Nash. Look at how they developed. Took that big jump. And people do forget in 2023, that defensive line was looked at as a potential weakness. And they ended up exceeding expectations. And they're like, oh, okay, cool. But now, heading into year 4, how many times has Matt Rule really done that? Where he's taken a 3-star guy, where he's taken a lower recruited guy, where he's had him in the system for 2 years and they end up playing above expectations. I'm not saying it hasn't happened. Great example is Corey Barney was a 3-star coming out of Florida and immediately hits the field and he makes an instant impact. So I'm not saying that it's not there and that Matt Rule hasn't accomplished that. But I'm also pointing out the fact that I don't think that sentence is as true now as it was when he first was here. I don't think as many people believe that from JD when he says that. And I think that's why this season is so important to see that happen. Like, if Matt Rule wants to get more of the belief from the fan base back into what he's doing in Lincoln, obviously it's going to come through wins. But I think more, almost as important, it's that process actually happening. Those guys actually taking big jumps. Those 3-star prospects actually looking like 4-star prospects, because that was the promise. And that was the big reason as to why he was hired. And, there's still people obviously nationally who believe that when you say Matt Rule is one of the best in the country at developing players and evaluating players. But I think that more has to do with his time at Temple and Baylor than it does with his time at Nebraska. And that is a top priority that you hope you see and that you hope gets resolved heading into the season. And maybe having a quiet spring where you're just putting your nose down and focusing on football is what creates that. And maybe the experience that his younger team undertook last year kind of snowballs into that development taking a step forward. But I think it was an interesting statement from JD because that's what we're looking for. What are some things that the national media believe and might say that maybe we don't buy so much here? I think that was a pretty big case in point. We're going to unfortunately have to bang the odd news because we just have so much going on and I didn't time it out correctly.
Whoa!
We might have to, we might
okay.
get back to it.
That's
but
totally fine.
We do have a quick little story I want to hit on before we get to our fun little segment coming up at 12 o'clock here on Middays with Matt.
Now back to Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
We're going to head to the Prairie Flower Zone Casino hotline. Prairie Flower Casino, play longer, win more. 402-951-1620 is the Prairie Flower Casino number. We go to Rick, who is on the line. Rick, what do you got for us?
Good morning, guys. I think the rain's coming. Hey, in regard to Matt Rule, he might have developed players at Baylor and the other school he was at in the Northeast. But the reality is, he had a 5-star quarterback that left, supposedly, because maybe the development wasn't there, or maybe because he had too much backache. But if you look at Rule's record, he's 18-18. If you take out the 3 years of the 3 non-conference games where I think he was basically 9-0, he's basically 9-18, which is 33%. And, he made the comment he wanted to get these guys into the pros. Well, he canceled the Tennessee game because he's got common sense. I'll give him that. But the reality is, this is a whole different game. This conference is tough as the Southeast Conference, if not tougher or comparable. So this is really, this next year, why you would go after a guy with only 1 year of experience. And I'm sure he's making $8 million because he knows more than me. But it's unbelievable. And you got a couple other guys in the fold with Kalen and Lateef.
Yeah.
But kind of baffling. What's your take?
My take is this. First off, the whole supposedly is very funny to me. Just because he was a 5-star. Like all the people who do all those things and all the recruiting and all the analysis, that's not.
But what's a star, really?
I hate this. This is the model we go off of. Now, I do
just
think,
like the frustration we have with mock drafts.
Yes. Like, don't blame me for looking at them. These guys are apparently the experts. I'm just going off of what they do. Listen, Rick brings up a good point without fully bringing it up. But if you go ahead and you look at the recruiting classes for Nebraska football, since Matt Rule's been here, 23, 24, 25, 26, so on and so forth, it's not as if they, JD talks about them taking 3 stars and having them perform above their level. But what has also been a problem is getting the top prospects, your supposed blue chip prospects, and having them end up being stars, having them end up reaching their potential, having them end up being all Big Ten players. That just hasn't happened. So, Rick kind of inadvertently brought up a very good point. As much as we talk about the player development from guys that maybe we don't know so much about, there's also been a lack of development on the guys that are supposed to be the top dudes, like a Malachi Coleman, like a Dylan Raiola, who were respectively at the time top prospects in their classes when Nebraska got them. We've talked about Nebraska football quite a bit today. We're going to do it one more time. You know what? I was reading a book about going to a different universe. Go traveling to different universes, alternate realities. How would your life be different if you made different decisions? How would, your life be if some things weren't the same as they are now? I was thinking, what would we have talked about a month ago if people really cared about Husker football this spring in comparison to what they have in the past? What would we have said? What would we have previewed? What were I said that weird previewed. What would we have overanalyzed? What would we have read and been like, oh, I'm looking at that, or oh, I don't believe that? What would have happened if we really gave a damn about what happened in Lincoln from February 21st to March 28th? Well, you know what? We're going to answer that question somehow, some way. Coming up next here on Middays with Matt on the 1620 The Zone Radio Network. 23rd edition here of Middays with Matt McMaster and Josh Odson joining you from the 1620 The Zone Radio Network studios, 97.7 The Zone as well. Wearing my Bears hat today, Josh. Still not over the Super Bowl loss.
Still stings. Probably always will.
It will never go away. I mean, the fact that they got there, though.
What a run.
I mean, first year of Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams, get to the big one. Those damn Broncos, though. Stibbs, congratulations, my friend. Anyway, though, today we're going to erase that memory. I know it happened a couple of weeks ago, but it's the first day of spring football, Josh Odson. Something to look forward to, right? I mean, aren't we excited about this football season?
Finally, you get out there and the weather's starting to turn
a little bit. There is a snowstorm coming here, so maybe
February still.
I know they're probably going to have to practice
so
inside.
But you hear that you're looking for that sound, right? That first of pads hitting each other or guys running through rubber.
It's one of those things where it's like I think they tried doing this early to get away with it. You know, maybe they didn't want us to talk about it as much, but here we are, February 23rd, first day of spring.
Can you believe it's February 23rd today?
I cannot believe it.
Already.
Incredible stuff. What are we going to look for in spring football? What are we going to talk about for this entire month? What are we really going to dive deep in on? What are the questions? Obviously, Calandria and TJ Lateef and Danny Kalin and everything like that. I think obviously at this point, we kind of know that it's Calandria's job to lose. Will he lose it? Are there going to be some updates? I will be curious as to, though, we probably have more of an intriguing conversation over who will be the second or third quarterback on this roster. Will it be Kalin backing up Calandria after coming from Virginia? Will it be TJ Lateef backing up Calandria? What will we hear about Tone? How are we going to feel about him? What is Holgorsen going to say about him? How is this going to be different from last season in terms of the offense? We'll also talk about the running backs this whole month long. There's some whispers. Makai Nelson will compete for the top job.
Whispers.
Isaiah Mosey will compete for the job. Will Quentin Ives finally turn into Herschel Walker? Will he finally live up to all the words that we've said about him over the last couple of years? Or will the sneaky addition of Jamal Rule end up being the guy? How many dudes will look the part? How many guys will be popping? Will this wide receiver room get as much hype as maybe people think it should? More importantly, though, and we'll quickly dive into this as February 23rd, the edition of Middays with Matt here, the first day of spring football in Lincoln. I want to hear from Rob Orch. I want to hear what this guy has to say. I want to see if I'm picking up what he's dropping down. Okay. There are some similarities between this season and the 2023 season. And I think this is the biggest similarity. This is the biggest thing we need to watch for. When Tony White came from Syracuse with a brand new system that Nebraska hadn't used before, the 3-3-5. We were all wondering, oh, will it fit the Big Ten? Oh, is this guy, he doesn't have Big Ten experience. He had 1 year in the ACC. Oh, is he really going to be able to be this great defensive coordinator? Oh, outside hire. And what did he do? He came into a defense that did not play well the year before, and we worried about the defensive line. And we said, oh, is this D-line going to be able to perform? Is this going to be a weakness for this Nebraska football team? Is it good that Nebraska football is going to enter the first season under Matt Rule with a potentially weak defensive line in the Big Ten? And what did he do? Nash Hupmaker and Ty Robinson ended up becoming mainstays of the Nebraska football defense, and they put together a very good season. And there were some guys that maybe we didn't hear of, or maybe we knew of, but did not perform in the past. The two that I think of immediately, Omar Brown and John Bullock. Nobody was really paying attention to John Bullock until he burst onto the scene and became a very integral part of that linebacking core. Omar Brown was a guy that was with Frost from Northern Iowa. People thought, oh, is he really going to end up performing or doing anything? He didn't really do anything last season. Ended up being a very big part of Tony White's defense. What is that going to look like with Rob Orch? Who are going to be those guys? Who are going to be the guys that we talk about? Is the D-line going to progress in the same way that it did with Tony White and him bringing in his new system from a different place in the 3-3-5? Will that be the case? And also, too, I think it'll be very interesting to hear the offensive side of the ball and whether or not there are changes there. And especially, because it's February 23rd, we'll have to wait a month and 5 days for the spring game. But will the offense look any different? I was sick and tired last season of the whole Charlie check down and screen passes and the Isaiah Hunter, and you pull the guards and the tackles out, and that's how he goes and he executes and so on and so forth. I was pretty sick and tired of that.
I want the whole go experience.
That's what I want, Josh Hodson. And will Anthony Calandria and his legs be able to provide that more? I am excited for the spring football season. We will be providing you all the coverage, all of the interviews, all of the press conferences, diving in deep to the words said by all the staff, which, by the way, a lot of new staff, Jeep Wade, what guys will be looking to part. I'm very excited to see what guys we are going to get very, very overexcited about. And will we be drinking the Kool at the end of the spring football? Will we be sipping on it? What are you feeling, Josh?
Excited to find out where your Kool-Aid meter is.
Oh, God. Right now, it's pretty low.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty low. Still in this universe. Very, very low. Very, very low in this universe. The Kool-Aid meter is. That is some things that aren't changing. But we will dive in deep, day in and day out, to see the stories that you need to know and to preview potentially the fall season through the spring season of Nebraska football. There you go. Insane. Today in spring football, it is the beginning. This is something that we will be doing. We'll be trying to doing if this is a hit. If people end up hating it, I swear to you, this is not an April Fool's joke. But
it was actually a good day to debut this bit in case it goes over like a lead balloon.
If this goes over like a lead balloon, this is the perfect way to say, hey, that was an April Fool's joke.
It was a bit.
No, Matt went back in time and pretended like you guys cared about spring football.
I care deeply about spring football. You know this about me.
Or we'll go ahead and we'll talk about some stories day in and day out, maybe week in and week out. I don't know how that went. We'll see. But we will do this throughout April, where we just go in. We're going to go back in time. We're going to find a time capsule. We're going to find a story. We're going to find a press conference. And we're going to talk about the things that you missed, that we missed, that we didn't talk about because you know what? Nebraska basketball was so great. Nebraska basketball was so good. And this football program really hasn't given you the want to be overly excited for it. But I do believe that there are things that we missed in spring football. There are things that we looked over. There were things that we did not pay attention to. There were tea leaves that were dropped that we didn't fully dive into because a lot of people felt, let's just call a spade a spade. A lot of people feel like this team doesn't deserve its full attention. A lot of people felt like this team didn't deserve the right for them to get excited over. A lot of people felt like this team it's not worth having optimism because you've had optimism for so many years and they haven't lived up to the billing. And that's why we kind of looked over spring football. Let's just be honest about it. Let's just be honest. But I do think that there are things that we can actually curate from this spring football that we just simply didn't pay attention to. And so, yes, we will be doing this, not every day, but every so often, where we go back in time, we go back to a time capsule, and we go ahead and we pick a story, we pick a press conference, and we say, you know what, you might have missed this. We're going to go ahead and tell you why it shouldn't matter. So there you go. Or if nobody wants to do that, we'll just say, hey, that was an April Fool's joke.
Got you.
We're covering our bases.
We got you so good.
We did.
You should have seen the look on your face.
By the way,
you thought it was February.
Shut up, Josh. By the way, if the Bears actually had lost in the Super Bowl to Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills, there's no way that I would be in the office on February 23rd. I would still be out of commission.
You wouldn't be happy to see the Bills finally win the big one?
Absolutely not.
Wow.
That would be I think actually that would be worse because everybody would be happy together. They would all be like, "Oh my God!"
Yeah, America would be.
America
you know what?
would be celebrating and running through the streets.
One of those memes would come out of who is America rooting for, and it would be a whole map of light blue saying Buffalo Bills and a tiny little dark of dot blue where
If
Chicago
I'm going to be honest,
is.
I'm going to be honest with you too. I think Southern Illinois would be rooting for the Bills as well. I don't think Southern Illinois would be. Southern Illinois hates Chicago. Some people don't know that. So yeah, that would probably be the worst case scenario because everybody would be like, why aren't you happy for Josh Allen? So there you go. That was today in spring football. Coming up next, we actually talk about things that are going on today.
Today, February 23rd?
No.
Today, April 1st.
April 1st.
Okay.
Happy April Fool's Day. What I was hoping is an April Fool's joke is going to an 8-game NFL regular season.
18.
It was not. We talk about why that's a mistake. Coming up next here on Middays.
Now back to Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
Hey, we're 1 week from being in Augusta, 1 week from tomorrow, actually. Should be a ton of fun. If you want to get in on the action, enter McMaster's Matchup for a shot at $250 without even swinging a golf club. We'll randomly select 20 entrants and match one entrant with a pro golfer. If your golfer takes home the win next week, you score $250. Register now at 1620thezone.com. Get your names in now because it expires on Sunday, April 5th. There you go. Now, for those who are wondering, because John Bishop was wondering, you'll enter and you'll be one of 20 entrants, and we're gonna pair you with the golfer. Now, 19 of you are going to get a golfer. Okay, you're actually going to get the 19 most betted on golfers. You're going to get the 19 favorites, the top 19 most likely golfers according to Vegas to win the Masters, or to win, that tournament that's going on in Augusta. Now, that 20th person, you're going to get the field. Okay, so if anybody other than the 19 top guys could potentially win that tournament that's happening next week, if none of those win, you end up winning $250. So get registered right now at 1620thezone.com. Let's go to the Prairie Flower Casino hotline. Prairie Flower Casino, play longer, win more. 402-951-1620 is the number to get in on the action. We go to one of our favorites, Denver Broncos. Eric is on the line. Eric, how are you?
How you been, man? It's been a long time since I've been able to call in.
It's been a while. Doing well. How are you?
I'm pretty good. I'm actually kind of happy. I need to get your opinion on what you think of Mr. Waddle becoming a Bronco.
I think it's a good addition. I think you need to add some weapons around Bo Nix. Obviously, it was a pretty hefty price to pay. But at the same time, if he's able to stay healthy, I do think he adds another dynamic element to your offense, and hopefully he doesn't suffer a couple of overthrows.
Now, here's your April Fool's joke, because this is a running meme up in Denver. Yeah, Denver went ahead and traded for Alvin Kamara, which, that's an awesome April Fool's joke.
Huh. Okay.
But what would you think, Alvin Kamara, or would you think Denver would be better in the second round to take Emmett Johnson? And I will hang up and listen.
Ooh.
You have a great day, buddy.
I don't know if you need to spend a second round pick if you're Denver. The only reason why is I really like RJ Harvey, and more importantly than me liking RJ Harvey is me acknowledging the fact that Sean Payton loves RJ Harvey. He actually acknowledged RJ Harvey during his media scrum at the annual owners and coaches meetings. I think second round would be a pretty high price to pay for a running back. At the same time, Denver Broncos defense is pretty solid, and because you do have a solid defense, you could maybe use a premium pick on a weapon like that. I do want to mention, though, if you want some more running backs, they're going to be available in the later rounds for the Broncos if they so choose. Second round pick might be a little bit of a high price to pay. And obviously, too, I think that it would probably be some running backs that teams have ranked ahead of Emmett when it comes to picking in the second round when it comes to a running back. In particular, Jeremiah Love's backup, Jadarian Price, who definitely showed some flashes when limited opportunities in South Bend, Indiana last season. So, if Denver gets to the third or fourth round with Emmett Johnson, I could see it happening. Granted, I really like RJ Harvey, and they use RJ Harvey in some very unique ways too on the offensive end. So I don't know if that is necessarily the best fit for EJ. I would probably say the two teams that I'm definitely looking at to select EJ that could be very good matches for him are both the Minnesota Vikings and Jacksonville Jaguars. He's going to have a top 30 visit with the Vikings, his hometown, obviously, and I think pairing him with Jordan Addison, the Vikings wide receiver who just had his fifth-year option picked up by the team, along with Justin Jefferson. And yesterday might have been a Freudian slip, but when talking about the offense, Kevin O'Connell mentioned Kyler Murray as the starting quarterback. So it might have seemed like already that the Vikings aren't necessarily gearing up for a major competition between J.J. McCarthy and Kyler Murray. It just might be Kyler's job, which, a lot of the talk surrounding Kyler when it comes to Kevin O'Connell and, the football brains of the Minnesota Vikings have been his ability to run, which I think if you go ahead and add that extra element, that extra layer to the Vikings offense, and then you draft a guy like Emmett Johnson, who is a different runner than Aaron Jones Sr., their starting running back, Emmett, putting him in the pass game and maybe having him line up throughout the entirety of the field, I think that it just makes Minnesota's offense more dangerous. Now, the other reason I like Jacksonville for Emmett Johnson does also have to do with, look, Trevor Lawrence, Bashal Tutin, more of a bowling ball than necessarily a pass catcher. There's a need to have that kind of pass catching running back on Jacksonville. But additionally, too, you got Liam Cohen, a very dynamic offensive mind when it comes to calling plays. And we already saw the jumps that Jacksonville took last season in his first year as the head coach of the Jags. But I think what's more important here is looking at availability. Jacksonville has the 81st pick, the 88th pick, and the 100th pick in the draft, the last pick of the third round. They're going to have ample opportunity if EJ gets, out of the second round, obviously, to go ahead and pick up Emmett Johnson. So even if there are teams that are in kind of that 70 to 80 mark that are looking to draft Emmett, I think Jacksonville just has the resources and most opportunities to do that. So I think Jacksonville is a very good fit. I think Minnesota is probably a better fit for Emmett overall, but at the same time, Jacksonville is going to have more of an opportunity to go and pick him. I believe the Vikings are around the 89 mark, if I'm not mistaken. They have a pick in the 80s where they could go and pick up Emmett. But yeah, I think Denver is an interesting spot. I always thought that Kansas City was going to be an interesting spot to look out for when it came to Emmett. But Kenneth Walker, obviously now being the runner for them, might negate that or might, Kansas City's definitely got other areas of the ball that they have to address outside of running back. Now, I still think, and I don't say this from a biased perspective, I say this from a genuine perspective, I still think that, the Bears are probably a team to watch when it comes to Emmett. They really wanted a running back last year, and they got Monungai in the 7th round. And he took some big strides, and obviously having Eric Bieniemy no longer on the Bears coaching staff as a running backs coach. He's back with Kansas City. But it's one of those things with Monungai, they really wanted Travion Henderson. And I think they wanted Tuden. I think they wanted Scadaboo. Like they even, Ryan Poles-Adreska last season where he's like, there are just pockets of the draft where you just don't end up being in that pocket that gives you that position of need. Do the Bears kind of rewrite a wrong they made in last year's draft and spend a mid-round pick on Emmett? We will see. But I definitely do think the two teams will watch, Minnesota and Jacksonville. Let's continue talking about the NFL. We've had these meetings. We've been covering them all week long just because you'd be shocked. I feel like this is a bit of an educational thing I might be doing for people because a lot of people ignore these meetings. But like, if you read the articles and you listen to the talking heads and you listen to these interviews, like there's a lot of things that you can gather about what the outlook of the teams are, especially from the coaches. And there are some stories that are kind of dropping here and there. Once again, the Bears are very much pushing to getting their compensatory pick. I'm kind of over it. I'm kind of done with the Bears trying to get this compensatory pick for Ian Cunningham becoming the general manager of the Atlanta Falcons. Kind of done. It's taking its course, but apparently they're meeting with Roger Goodell once again to try and figure this out and get a real explanation as to why they won't get it. But we've found out a little bit more about the A.J. Brown situation. A.J. Brown, star wide receiver for the Philadelphia Eagles. We have heard over and over and over again that it seems like he is going to get traded from the Eagles. We know that based off of his comments last season that he was unhappy. Why was he unhappy? Why has this come to this point? Why does a star wide receiver who's won a Super Bowl for this team no longer want to be around? And why has Howie Roseman waited so long to pull the trigger? Now, number one, for cap reasons to push this into the future, trading A.J. Brown after June 1st is the best money situation for the Eagles. Okay. And it doesn't have them need to give as much back to the other team when they trade A.J. Brown. Secondly, heard this from Mike Garafolo, the NFL Network. talked about Howie Roseman didn't want to just trade A.J. Brown to trade A.J. Brown. And he also did kind of this negotiation thing where he didn't want to lower his price for anybody because he doesn't want lowering his price for A.J. Brown to make people think that he'll lower his price for other people in the future. And so Howie Roseman has stood pat and not gotten rid of A.J. Brown, even though it's the worst kept secret in the NFL that he is on the table. He could have had an opportunity in his scrums during these meetings to say, hey, A.J. Brown's an Eagle. We talked to A.J. We love A.J. We fully support A.J. We figured things out internally. We understand why A.J. was mad. We're not getting rid of him. One of the best wide receivers in the NFL. Why would we do that? He did not. He did not say any of that. He didn't say the opposite, but he was just like, right now, A.J. Brown's an Eagle.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he is.
That's all he said every single time he was asked about it.
A.J. Brown's an Eagle. A.J. Brown's an Eagle. Now, there has been some reporting as to why this is happening, and it's very clear at this point. The reason why A.J. Brown is going to get traded is because of his relationship with the quarterback, is because him and Jalen Hurts just don't get along anymore. These are guys that have been friends for an extended period of time. These are guys that have been together through thick, through thin. A.J. Brown is the godfather to Jalen Hurts' kid.
Whoa, really?
Yes. A.J. Brown is the godfather to Jalen Hurts' daughter. Okay?
Whoa. And they don't like each other?
And they don't like each other anymore.
Whoa.
These are two guys that have known each other since high school, that have won a Super Bowl together, that have been inseparable for years. And A.J. Brown is no longer going to be an Eagle because Jalen Hurts doesn't want it to be the case anymore. There also was an ESPN article released today detailing the relationship between Jalen Hurts, the coaching staff, the front office, and everything in between. And it's being made pretty clear at this point that Jalen Hurts, and especially Kevin Patullo, the offensive coordinator, with a little bit of hint of Nick Sirianni, things just did not work out. And one of the adjectives to describe the relationship between Hurts and his coaches is calcifying. Let me read you a quote from this ESPN article that was released by Tim McManus and Jeremy Fowler. Written here. He, Hurts, has pushed back on changes that would diversify the scheme, sources said, including when it comes to him going under center more. He has shown a reluctance to let it rip at times. Oh, I've never seen that happen. Particularly against zone coverage. He diverts from the game plan and changes play calls to what some feel is an excessive degree. His strong preferences, coupled with the coach's efforts to play to his strengths, which include his deep ball accuracy and throws to the perimeter, limits the breadth to which the offense can expand, or at least that's the way it has gone in the past. There was a part of this article written by McManus and Fowler that also detail in the final seconds of the San Francisco game in which they lost, that they had a 4th and short, and Patullo and Hurts were discussing what they were going to call in that very big situation. And Sirianni looked at Hurts and says, what do you want to do? Well, they ran 4 verts and they didn't get it. So I was very curious as to why I was looking at a mock draft yesterday from Matt Miller of ESPN. You know, Matt Miller had the Philadelphia Eagles taking in the 4th round of the NFL draft.
I'm going to guess a wide receiver.
No, it was a quarterback.
A quarterback? Whoa.
Matt Miller had the local product, Cole Payton, mocked to go to the Philadelphia Eagles in his latest mock draft.
Interesting.
It's one of those things where I was like, oh, that's okay. Like, this kind of makes sense from a perspective of he's a great athlete. He has a ton of potential. And this is honestly something akin a little bit. I mean, now the accomplishments between Peyton and Hurts were different. Hurts was played at Oklahoma, played at Alabama. Cole Peyton coming from North Dakota State, but this is kind of what it's a little bit slightly similar to the Carson Wentz and Jalen Hurts situation, right? Where you have a quarterback at the time. Wentz had gone under a contract extension. It seemed like it was going to be his job for the immediate future, and ended up being that Jalen Hurts took that over. And I was kind of thinking, oh, this is interesting that Matt Miller at the 114th pick has the Philadelphia Eagles taking a quarterback. Now, it doesn't so much have to do with Cole Peyton being the guy. I think that would be incredibly interesting if he were to go to the Eagles. Just because we've seen what the Eagles have been able to do from a player development perspective. But it's interesting to look at that article, to look at that mock draft and say, oh, that's interesting that he's Matt Miller, very much in tune to what teams want. He has them taking a quarterback in the mid rounds, and then read that article and say, oh, it seems like things are a little bit dicey when it's between Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles coaching staff. And then on top of that, the reason why your star wide receiver no longer wants to be on your team is because of his relationship with the quarterback. These are just, you put the pieces together, and once again, drama in Philadelphia. There's going to be drama too when it comes to the NFL Players Association and the NFL and the owners and their upcoming negotiations. And a big topic of discussion will eventually be the 18-game NFL season. This was Carly Ursay-Gordon talking about the potential of an 18-game NFL season. I want everybody who's an NFL fan to listen to what one of the owners, speaking on behalf of the NFL, the commissioner, and all the other owners, I want you to hear what this owner has to say about the potential of an 18-game NFL season. Open up your ears here, because this is pretty big. This is pretty big. Go ahead and play it, Josh.
This morning, 18-game conversation went viral after a conversation you had. Robert Kraft also mentioned it. It feels like it's been lingering, over the last couple of years. Do you think that's a main focal point of the conversations here this week, or what are you guys basically trying to get done, you think, at this particular league meeting?
So I think we went to the 17-3 model. Obviously since then we've been having that conversation because it's hard to remember and it's a little wonky, AFC one year, NFC the other. It's hard to plan for revenue, and you have one less home game and all those things. So I think an even number would be nice to get to. And obviously I think the preseason product, as far as we always are thinking about what is best for our fans, and the commissioner's been open that the preseason product isn't quite, what it used to be. And I still think the players need it, for some development if the coach actually plays them. But
okay, obviously that was from the Pat McAfee show. Credit to the Pat McAfee show for that clip with Carly Ursay-Gordon talking about the 18-game season with Pat McAfee. First off, her first point: 17 wacky 9 games to 8 games, tough for a revenue planning perspective. It's good to get to an even number. Do you know what an even number was? 16. You were at an even number. You decided to go to the uneven number.
Who could possibly determine if we were have 9 or 8? Who no one can remember.
What? Could you not do math when you made the decision? Don't tell me, oh, an odd number is weird. The revenue and this and that, and it's wonky. You decided to do that. You were at an even number. You were at, in my opinion, the perfect number.
Well, it's an 8-game home season. We got to tighten our belts this season.
It is ridiculous. Like 16 was so good. 16 was perfect. Also, just from an adding perspective, 8-8, 6-10, 7-9.
I knew that Jeff Fisher was going to go every year.
8-8. It was great. I mean, it was just from a like optics and just talking perspective. Honestly, to this day, I never say 9-8. I just go, they're 9-7. I never really say 8-9. I just go 8-8. Like you get the thing. That was a perfect even number. And also 16 games was perfect because it was one of those things where you could have a rough start to the season in the NFL with 16 games and you could recover from it. You could start the season 2-4 and then end up, they go on a great run and they make the playoffs, right? You could start the season great but then you still had to perform later in the year. But at the same time, there was such a condensed amount of games that you were living and dying with every game because they still meant so much. Your season wasn't over after 5 games, but your season, that week 7 game meant a ton. And it sometimes felt like the week 2 game felt just as much as the week 12 game. That's why 16 games are perfect. Okay, they go to 17. It's 1 extra game. It really doesn't affect that feeling, right? We still feel that way about a 17-game season. But don't tell me that the reason why you want to go to 18 is because you have an odd number of games when you're the one who decided to go to an odd number of games. Number 2, she then talks about doing it for the fans. Oh, we know that the preseason, it's not a great product for the fans. We know we don't want to provide the fans with a bad product. And, the way, and then they started subtly blaming the teams and the coaches, right?
If the coaches play
them, if they even use them. Yeah, but they're not even using, and we get it. The players need the preseason, but it's like, are they even playing? It's not a good product, right? It's not the owner's fault. It's not a good product. They're just not. They're not playing the preseason.
I tell them to put Danny Dimes in, and the coach won't do it.
No, it's a bad product. So you know what? We know the players needed the ramp up if they use the ramp up, but we're gonna have an 18 game.
We could make it a better value for our fans since it's such a crappy product, but we don't.
Not once does she talk about player safety. Not once does she talk about injuries. Not once does she talk about any of that. She doesn't mention the players. She just goes, well, it's just, from a numbers and adding perspective, it's weird planning for odd number of home games. And, the preseason's a bad product. Then Jerry Jones decided to talk about the 18-game season. What did Jera have to say?
Well, I think it's a better application of their careers and talent. Less preseason, more playing in games that have the right balance of the financial rewards as well as the exposure.
So he does talk about the players there, but he doesn't.
Everybody's only got so many bullets. I might as well use them in a game, right?
He goes. Well, they're going to have more money in their pockets, and they're going to be on national television another time, and it's just a better application.
That's a pretty good Jerry Jones
of their skills, and so this is why we need to go to the 8-team model. All right, that's what Jerry's telling you. He doesn't go, well, we're not worried about all the stars being injured this season, like Fred Warner, or George Kittle, or Patrick Mahomes, or Micah Parsons. No, he's not telling you any of that. How do these owners talk about not only taking away a preseason game that gives you less of an opportunity from a competitive standpoint to get your legs under you as a player? Not only, they don't even talk about that part of the player safety, but then they also don't either talk about the part of adding another game of a very violent sport that takes a ton off your body might be a risk. No. What do they tell you? Well, the players are going to make more, and you're going to like the product, and it's more balanced for us because we need to go to an even number. They're not telling you the real reason. The real reason they want to do this, they don't give a damn about the preseason product and the fans. They don't give a damn about the player safety. They don't give a damn about the injuries. They're just going to tout you a bunch of numbers and say, well, injuries are actually down if you're looking at these numbers. That's what their defense is going to be. But you cannot defend the fact that you're making these guys play another game of a very violent sport where anything can happen. Okay? But they're not going to tell you that. They're going to tell you, oh, it's because of continuity, or it's because of organization, or it's because of the fan product. You know what it is? They want 16 more games they can sell. They want 16 more games they can make money on. They want another opportunity for you to buy tickets. They want another opportunity for you to buy merch. They want another opportunity to put more money from your pocket into their pocket.
They want to send your favorite team overseas one time a year.
And they don't give a damn about players. They don't. You can't tell me they're doing all of this and not acknowledging player safety. At least these two owners aren't, and they care. They don't. Adding another game of football when you already have 17 is not a safe thing for players. It's not. And also, too, if they ever give you numbers and say, hey, we're a more safer sport, so we can add another game. It's not about getting back to the mean. It's about making the sport safer. So this is ridiculous, and it's greed. And these same owners are going to be the ones who, when they go to a CBA and they go to a collective bargaining agreement negotiation, they're going to be the ones who float out, well, maybe it doesn't need to be 50-50 anymore. Maybe we don't need to split the money down the middle with the players anymore. Maybe we can take more of the pie. That is something that they are thinking about proposing. It's greed. It's just greed. It's straight up greed, and they're trying to convince you that you want this. I'm going to be real with you. I don't need another game of the NFL. I don't need another. Maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe I'm in the minority, but me personally, I don't need an 18th game. 16 was perfect.
I don't need
great.
a Wednesday afternoon game in Dublin.
It's just, and another rule too. Now, if you play on Friday, that's not considered a short week.
Yeah, not a short week. So you can play on Thursday.
But where knee injuries are down 18%.
They will not be going forward.
Coming up next, we talk about a sport I actually give a damn about. Well, I give a damn about the NFL, as you can tell, but a sport that I'm actually very happy to talk about that doesn't get me as angry. Talk about the NCAA tournament coming up.
Now back to Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
Hey, you want to go and see the Omaha Supernovas in action? 1620 The Zone has got you covered. The Supernovas are hosting the Indy Ignite on April 4th at 3 p.m. at CHI Health Center in Omaha. Go ahead and listen to Happer and Schaefer all week for a chance to win your way to the game. We also want to remind you that if your lawn needs a makeover, we have the place for you. If you're dreaming about your own backyard oasis, well, sounds like you need outdoor upgrade, and we've teamed up with Robert's Nursery Landscape and Lawn to give you a shot at a $10,000, you heard that right, $10,000 backyard makeover.
Whoa,
the service,
10 G's?
10 whole G's. The services that they offer include patios, outdoor kitchens, water features, fireplaces and fire pits, retaining walls, landscaping, pergolas. They have a nursery for all you green thumbs. Hurry to 1620thezone.com and register for a chance to win a $10,000 outdoor upgrade from Robert's Nursery Landscape and Lawn. We also want to remind you, it's a Wacky Guess Wednesday, baby. At 1 o'clock, a guest that I have no idea who they are. Only Josh Odson knows, and Mike Schaefer and Connor Happer, or whomever might have helped Josh Odson book the guest.
Oh, nobody helped. It was all me.
Josh Odson.
I just spilled the beans to them because I couldn't keep a secret.
A pretty wacky guest. I actually don't know. I wasn't told where he...
Pretty low on the wacky scale.
Okay.
My wacky plan A never... We were talking, but we never finished talking, and then had to deviate to plan B. But it's a very good plan B.
That sounds like my dating life. So there you go. We have a Wacky Guess Wednesday today at 1 o'clock. Real quick, before we hit a break here at around the next 4 to 5 minutes. Been talking a lot out, can't say it enough how this has been a historic season when it comes to viewership and interest and everybody talking about college basketball. I mean, we've seen a lot of think pieces. We even seen locally some people talk about how they haven't been this invested when it comes to college basketball in quite some time. And obviously locally that had a ton to do with Nebraska basketball having a historic season. But overall across the country, and I think it has a lot to do with the quality of ball being better and players staying in college basketball instead of running to the NBA, along with, just it's unfortunate for the mid-majors, but Power 5 teams have become better because of their ability to poach some of these really, really good players from mid-major basketball teams, which, obviously is a conversation and to some people a problem within itself. But CBS Sports announced yesterday and TNT that once again, they are record-setting numbers for the NCAA tournament. They reported that the most watched NCAA tournament is this season since 1993. The NCAA tournament is averaging 10.3 million viewers through the Elite Eight across CBS, TNT, and True TV. It's up 9% from last season. UConn and Duke in the Elite Eight peaked at 19 million viewers.
Hello.
19 million viewers, an average 13.4 million viewers during that game, which is up 15% from last season. The Sweet 16 early primetime window, which included Duke, St. John's, Michigan, and Alabama, 4 very big schools, averaged 14.2 million viewers, and it was up 38% from last season, along with being the most watched since 1992 for that window. Every game window in the Sweet 16 Elite Eight was increased year over year. So I think we talked about it about 2 months ago about, hey, is college basketball starting to have a moment? I think this tournament is answering it. And there's a lot of factors that go into it. I just think the quality of basketball is higher. Unfortunately, I think my conclusion is going to be we've traded higher quality across the best teams for Cinderella. But if that's what's going to increase viewership all the way throughout, maybe that's just kind of a trade we have to take. Now, honestly, too, let's not act as if we were these massive, massive fans of not having the 4 best teams in the Final Four, right? I think we're missing the first and second round upsets a little bit. But at the same time, I want the 4 best teams playing in the Final Four. I want 7 of the 8 best teams playing in the Elite Eight. I just want the quality of basketball to be high and competitive throughout the entirety of the tournament. And yeah, I love a 15 beating to 2 and a 14 beating to 3 just as much as anybody. But these matchups that we're having in the Final Four and the matchups that we had in the Elite Eight were must-watch television. And do you know how I know they were must-watch television? Because of these numbers. Because this NCAA tournament is the most watched in 33 years. An upset or two is great, but overall, across the board, the thrilling finishes, the competitive basketball, the great stories that we've had. I know they haven't come necessarily from the Cinderellas that you love, but they've come from Power 5 Cinderellas in a way. You know, Nebraska can be considered I know they were a 4 seed, but like the fact that they never won an NCAA tournament game before this season, you know, is a great story from a Power 4 perspective. So I know that people miss the Siena upsets and the Florida Gulf Coast upsets and the FDU upsets and the St. Peter's upsets, but this tournament has been really, really, really entertaining. And it's going only to get better with two awesome games. Illinois, UConn, a rematch from earlier in the season, along with arguably the two best teams playing each other in the Final Four between Arizona and Michigan. Can't wait for that to happen in the next couple of days. I can't wait to find out who our wacky guest is. Coming up next, Wacky Guest Wednesday. Find out with me here on the 1620 The Zone Radio Network.
Now, back to Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
It's a Wednesday at 1 o'clock. So you know what that means? Mr. Josh Hodson, take it away, man.
Well, this week on Wacky Guess Wednesday, maybe not wacky in terms of like, haha, very funny, but a much needed call to this guest after last night's Nebraska baseball victory, because this person covers Nebraska baseball for the Omaha World Herald. Former friend of the, I guess, you're always a friend of the show. We don't cut you off like that. But Evan Bland of the Omaha World Herald joins us now.
Evan Bland, you slick son of a gun. Welcome to Middays with Matt. Welcome. Congratulations on being a wacky guest, Evan.
I can be wacky, I suppose. Yeah, would we have some? I don't have any material planned, but we could do a little stand-up here, maybe.
You know what? This is pretty funny because I was planning on at some point calling you in the very near future because we feel like, and this is my fault because Nebraska baseball, I'm a fan of baseball, I like Nebraska baseball. I've talked about Nebraska baseball before on this radio station, but Nebraska basketball, I know we've made a point of them kind of taking the shine away from Husker spring football, but they've kind of taken the shine away a little bit from Nebraska baseball because we've just been so, just deep into their historic Sweet 16 run that I feel like some of us haven't been fully noticing the historic, in a way, run that Nebraska baseball is going on. So I wanted to have you on to catch us up and have a little update, but here you are as a wacky guest. Evan, what do you think yesterday? What do you think proved about Nebraska baseball with their win over Creighton yesterday, 6-5 in the midweek? A spot that has given them some fits over the last couple of years.
Yeah. Well, first, let me address what you talked about the shine kind of being
Sure,
off
go
Nebraska
ahead.
baseball. It's kind of funny because for so many years it's been the opposite. It's been basketball disappoints, and so everyone turns their lonely eyes to the baseball team to try to come out of it. And sometimes they do, and sometimes the midweek losses pile up and like the frustration boils over. And I think sometimes there's a temptation to treat baseball like you would treat football, where you have, 12 games and like you're just going to have to make sweeping judgments with every result. And baseball is obviously different. And so it's kind of the opposite of what it's been for a long time. Right now they're cruising behind the scenes. They haven't lost at home. They haven't lost in the midweek, like all these things that have kind of held them back. So it's a new time, like in Husker sports, where basketball does the heavy lifting and now baseball's ready to take the baton, along with softball for the second half of the spring. But I mean, the game last night at Creighton was very similar, I think, to a lot of the games that those two teams have played over the last 7 or 8 years. Just tight, wacky things happen.
Sure.
It's pretty intense for a midweek. The difference was Nebraska actually found a way to pull it out. I mean, Creighton's been winning these 1 and 2 run games pretty consistently. And so you kind of felt like maybe that was coming in those middle innings when Creighton puts up a 5 spot, and then Nebraska has an error to open the bottom of the 9th. And you just wonder, is this when Creighton makes its move and does what it does? But, I think Nebraska showed what its strengths have been. They can hit the ball. They're going to tax your pitching and elongate at bats and wear down pitchers. And then the staff's going to do enough. I mean, Gavin Blackwitz was good, and Jay-Sean Unger closes it out. So I think it's the sign that you have a deep team, a good team, and one that realizes that even though it's a Tuesday game, like these are massively important if you want to be playing June baseball at Haymarket Park. I think they realize that, and they play that way.
Little Birdie told me that you're working on a story here, potentially on the closer for Nebraska baseball. Have you released that? I haven't been able to catch up. What can you tell us about Jay-Sean Unger and some of the things you've been seeing from him?
Yeah, no, you're informed correctly.
Okay.
That's something that'll be out, I believe, tomorrow.
All right.
Just a great story about a guy. He's just a sophomore. In college baseball, if you pitch 1 inning, or if you get 1 out, or if you take the mound, that's a year of eligibility, right? Like there's no 4-game football redshirt type of rule. And so Jay-Sean Unger had 1 appearance last year. He got 2 outs against Omaha, and it didn't go great for him, and he went into the portal last summer and decided to come back to Nebraska when he had a good summer. And so just a redemption story, but like a really condensed one, where he was supposed to be, or he was planning to be pitching at the junior college level this year, just to get on the field and do some things. And so instead he figured some things out about his mentality, about just the attitude that it takes to be on the mound. He's a guy who Nebraska sees probably as soon as next year being a potential weekend starter. He's got, 4 or 5 different pitches. He's got the physical gifts to do it. And so like you have to have stories like him, I think, for any team that's going to be good. Like you have the guys that come in that are going to be good. And then you have the guys that sort of pop. And he was a guy who, even in the fall, when he came back, the coaches were like, "Yeah, he's been pretty good. You'll probably see him in middle relief or maybe the 7th or the 8th or something." And instead, he's become the closer, and he's in every high leverage situation that Nebraska has had, and they seemingly win almost all of them. And so, just another one of those stories on a team full of them right now, and he's been a critical piece. Certainly in those late inning relief situations as Nebraska keeps piling up those wins.
If you look at, and if you went to the game yesterday between Nebraska and Creighton, you would see that Nebraska's highest batting average hitter is Mac Moyer. Now, if that name sounds familiar to you, the last name Moyer, that's because that is Jamie Moyer's son, Jamie Moyer, a very, very long time. I actually looked up this stat here, Evan. Jamie Moyer is the oldest player to ever play in the 2000s in MLB history. His last game was at the age of 49. His son, Mac Moyer, having a really, really good season, batting over 400 so far for Nebraska baseball. He was playing JUCO just last season. Let's just talk about his journey, how he got to Nebraska, and the impact that he's having on this team so far.
I mean, he's another great example of what we're talking about, where like this was a guy before the season who had put up some numbers at junior college and was set to be in the mix in the outfield, but through 2 weeks, he essentially made it impossible for coaches to take him out of the lineup. He's become the everyday center fielder. That was not necessarily the plan going into the season. The original plan was Devin Nunez in center and Jeter Worthley leading off, and Mac Moyer took both of those jobs, and all he's done is lead the team in average, be one of the top hits collectors at the Division I level, and he's just been really solid. Anyone that watched the game last night saw him make that last play in center field for the final out, and that wind was howling out to right. I'm not sure everybody necessarily makes that play. That's sort of a game-saving moment for him too. So just the ultimate table setter. Nebraska offensively overall this year has said, hey, we want to be more of a power hitting team, but to do that most effectively, you need a guy who's just on base all the time and who's able to score from first on a double or whatever it might be. And so, I mean, Moyer's been a guy who works counts, who slaps it the other way to left field, sort of like you sometimes see softball hitters do. He's got a little bit of speed, and like you mentioned, his dad being a longtime major leaguer, he's about as smart of a baseball player as you could ask for with all the little intricacies of the game and the instincts that he has. So no doubt he's been a tone setter at the top of the lineup, and another one of those, I would call them minor surprises for what this baseball team is doing this year.
What do you think is different about this year's team compared to last year's team, who did make the NCAA tournament, but up until winning the Big Ten, it was a fairly disappointing season? What is the difference between this season's team, the biggest difference in your mind between this season's team and last year's team?
Oh, depth of starting pitching, I think, is probably the number one thing. You felt like you had a Friday guy, maybe a Friday, Saturday guy last year, but they rotated different arms through on Sunday. And then the midweek was, I mean, it was kind of like drawing names out of a hat. And you were lucky if you got 2 innings out of whoever the Tuesday or Wednesday starter was. And so now you've got 4. And Carson Yass has been a big piece of what this team's doing. He was someone who wasn't really reliable to throw strikes a year ago. Now he's been awesome as the Saturday guy. You bring in Cooper Katsky, who's now the Sunday guy, that shores that up. And then Gavin Blackowitz, who they still see long-term as a weekend starter. And he began the year in that role. He handled his business on Tuesday at Creighton, and they believe he's going to be doing that here moving forward as well. So I think if you have 4 guys like that, that takes some of the burden off of your bullpen. It certainly on a Tuesday, it taxes your staff less, and you can save those guys for the weekend a little bit more. And you talk about like pro prospects on the roster, like that's where I would start too. I mean, I think Ty Horn's going to certainly get a chance at pro ball. Carson Yassa probably is the most gifted, like physically, to translate that to the next level. And I think Katsky and Blackowitz eventually will get a crack at it too. So, you have that kind of pro talent and those guys setting the tones on the weekend and on Tuesday. That's just something Nebraska didn't have as much of last year and really hasn't had as much of to this extent in the Will Bolt era this decade.
Obviously when we talk about just recruiting across sports, we always talk about keeping the in-state recruits in state and keeping especially the top in-state recruits in state. And that's exactly what Will Bolt was able to do with Jeter Worthley. And you know this better than I do, but I actually was watched Jeter play some Legion baseball a couple of years ago. And at the time he was committed to Michigan. And I believe for 2 years he was committed to Michigan until eventually he flipped to join his brother Jalen on this Nebraska baseball roster. And as a true freshman, making a massive impact, already batting over 300. At the time of getting Jeter Worthley, how big of a get was that for Nebraska baseball? And did they anticipate that he would make this type of impact this early on in his career, Evan Bland?
Yeah, it was a big deal when he flipped. When he committed to Michigan, I know there was a lot of disappointment locally that Nebraska wasn't able to lock him down, and circumstances changed. Michigan changed coaching staffs, and so that was a part of it as well. But I think there was always a belief that he was a guy who was going to come in, certainly over the course of his career, and be a solid player. I mean, athletically, he's gifted. He's a high school quarterback. You listen to him talk, like he sounds like he's in his 30s, like he's just very mature and thoughtful in how he goes about his business. And, he made enough of an impact in the fall that the coaches said, yeah, you're going to be a true freshman who's going to be out here, not just trying to learn how to hit and adjust to college pitching, but also handle the staff and be behind the plate most days. I mean, he's only taken a few days off. Like he's been durable, and the first, I would say maybe 3 weeks of the year, he was a little slow getting going with the offense, but now you look at the numbers and he's well above 300. He would be in that leadoff role right now if it weren't for what Matt Moyer's doing. And so he's in the 2-hole, brings about as much about as much speed as anybody in the offense. He can lay down a bunt. He can play left field. And he's got that intangible quality, like I mentioned too. So yeah, really impressive start for him. I think, he's not draft eligible for a couple of years, but certainly long-term, that's a guy who, if he continues to develop and improve what he's doing, like he's got the makings of someone who's going to be a professional someday too.
You had a great stat yesterday. We used it on the show thank you for that, about Nebraska in the midweek during the Will Bolt era before the season, heading into this year, 25-21 in midweek play. And that includes losses to non-Power 5 teams. And, definitely you also mentioned in that same, this was in your preview for Creighton versus Nebraska, where you mentioned, look, if you're going to get an at-large bid for the NCAA tournament and not have to worry about winning the Big Ten tournament to do so, which, they've done definitely over the course of Will Bolt's era as the head coach of Nebraska, you got to win these midweek games. And the record is 7-0. Correct me if I'm wrong, 7-0 after their win yesterday, Evan?
Yep, that's right.
What's flipped? I mean, is it just the team is better? Is it just they have more talent? Is it just they have more depth? Or is there mentality shift? Is there just learning? You got a lot of veteran guys on this team who have gone through those losses, right? Case Anderson, Rhett Stokes, Josh Overbeek. Like, you've seen these guys have kind of seen those losses. Has there been a mentality flip, or is this team just straight up better, and that's why they don't lose in the midweek? Can you put a point on that?
Well, I think first of all, it's important to note that it's hard to win in the midweek in college baseball anyway. Like, look on any given Tuesday, like look at the top 25, and you're almost guaranteed to see multiple upsets. You saw it last night. I mean, Oregon lost to Portland,
yeah.
and Arkansas lost to Southeast Missouri State, or I think it was, or Missouri State. And so, like, you see these results all the time, and in the midweek, you got to win one of two ways, and preferably two ways. One, if you have a fourth starter, that's going to go a long way, as opposed to having to sort of piece it together with 5 or 6 guys. And we talked about that. I think Nebraska, that's one advantage that they have when they're throwing Cooper Katsky and now Gavin Blackowitz, excuse me, on a Tuesday, Wednesday. But I think also sometimes you just have to be able to outslug the other team. Like, there are going to be those days when you're all on your 4th or 6th or 7th pitchers, and it's just going to be on the offense to be like, okay, we're going to have to win a 10-7 kind of game, and we're just going to have to go out and do it. And Nebraska's done that a couple of times too. At Wichita State, and there were sort of elements of that in the Creighton game last night, where Nebraska just kind of had to keep tacking on. Like, it wasn't going to be a game where they held Creighton to 1 or 2. Like, they just needed to keep finding ways. So I think it's that. I think it's depth of the lineup. I think it's having a fourth starter. And the other thing that Nebraska's done really well the last 2 or 3 years is they've scheduled these midweeks in such a way that it maximizes the upside while limiting the downside. And what I mean by that is 3 or 4 years ago, there were a lot more, Summit League teams on those schedules, teams that if you beat them, sometimes it would actually still hurt your RPI. And so Nebraska's added Kansas and Kansas State, and you got Wichita State on there twice, and Creighton, of course. And so almost all of those games, if you win them, will help you. And if you lose them, they don't really hurt you that much. They do hurt you more than if you were in the SEC because of the strength of schedule. But I think that's the other thing that Nebraska's kind of found a good sweet spot in, is to schedule tough so those games don't kill you, but they can actually help you like they're doing right now.
A point of, maybe not point is the best way to put it, but a goal, I guess, an established goal by Will Bolt across his time as the head coach of Nebraska baseball has been hosting a regional. That's been a clear goal, and it's been stated many times. And right now, Nebraska, Evan, I don't have to tell you this, but they're the number 19 team in the country, and they got a Big Ten series coming up here against Penn State. And definitely, starting in April, they are very much knocking on the door of being able to potentially host a regional. My question is not whether or not can they do it. I think up to this point, starting the season 23-6 and winning 18 of the last 19 games has proven they can potentially do it. But what are the big points in the schedule? What are the teams they really have to beat? What are the big dates that you're circling on this upcoming calendar for Nebraska baseball if they are to accomplish that goal under Will Bolt?
Yeah, I mean, I think, first of all, you got to continue to win your midweeks. Those can make all the difference. And you have still 2 against Creighton, 2 against Kansas, which has been a decent team. You got Kansas State left on there. So you got to continue to take care of your business there. But I think the month of April is clearly where you can make that move. Like you mentioned, Penn State comes to town this week. They've been probably one of the more disappointing teams in the Big Ten this year relative to expectations. But then the next 2 weeks are the ones that are really going to define the season and can get the attention nationally. You go to Oregon for 3, and then you have USC coming to Lincoln for 3. Those are both top 15 teams in the country. Oregon hosted a regional last year. SC was a playoff team. They have more national championships all time than anybody else in the sport. So that's going to be your major chance to gain some RPI points. You're at 24, 23 right now. And if you want to host a regional, you don't necessarily have to be in the top 16, but you really should be inside the top 20 to have a chance to do that. And so that'll be kind of the opportunity. So it's take care of business in the midweek and in the other league weekends. And then if you can win those 2 series, I think you're cooking. That's when you're starting to really look at that as an opportunity. And, it's something Nebraska hasn't done since 2008. It's hard to do. They've come close a few different times. And I think that the other piece that you look at is the Big Ten as a whole. Like, it's really top heavy. If you look at the standings right now, it's clearly UCLA, USC, Nebraska, Oregon. And then there's a pretty big drop off. I mean, a lot of teams that are 500 or below 500. So it's going to be about, can you win those series that are left outside those major weekends? Can you get a couple of sweeps? Nebraska's done a pretty good job of that to this point, but you have to keep pace in sort of a marathon sort of vibe for the second half of the season, keep pace. And if you can do that, I mean, they've done enough to this point that, they could be playing June baseball at Haymarket Park.
Evan Bland, the man, the myth, the legend, covering this beat for a very, very long time. Always love having you on here and talk. This is the second time you've come on and talk baseball. We'll definitely have you on throughout the rest of the year as this Nebraska baseball team marching toward potentially hosting a regional at Haymarket Park for the NCAA tournament. Still a lot of work to do, but good work has been done so far. Evan, thank you so much for joining us, my man.
Thanks, Matt. This was wacky.
This was it. Wacky. Indeed. You know what, Josh Hodson, you're one son of a gun too.
What did I do?
Because I did mention, I was like, you know what, we should have Evan on at some point to talk baseball because we're now into the baseball season. Now that basketball has had an extended season, we're now into really locking down here, locking in on what they're doing. And you go, oh, I have an idea.
Mm-hmm.
Before you book them, I'll book them.
So full disclosure, big Florida Larry.
Yeah.
And I were chatting over the weekend and on Monday, and then it just kind of dried up. Like
wait, big Florida Larry,
the big muscle guy.
Whoa, wait, the bodybuilder?
Yeah.
And it just fell apart?
Yeah, he kind of stopped talking to me. I don't know. Maybe, I mean, it was pretty sporadic messaging back and forth. So like I had him on the hook, but I didn't reel him in. So I got here today and I'm like, oh man, I need somebody. Matt had talked about talking to Evan. I'll start there. And I said, dear Evan, has Matt reached out to you? Send. And he said, nope. I said, perfect.
Big Florida Larry. Hey, first off, I'm not mad at you or blaming you or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great idea. Like that was a phenomenal. The fact that you thought of that.
It would have been a significantly shorter segment, though.
Oh my God! And by the way, I'm so glad we had Evan on because Nebraska had a big win yesterday, and we kind of just skated over it. I mean, I'm not going to pretend to be something I'm not here, you know. And so it's like I'm glad we have Evan on to talk and give us more of an update. And definitely now we'll be watching more baseball games because this team is really good.
They're red hot.
And they are red hot. And you know, it's kind of been a common theme in the last couple of years of like kind of the up and down and like the expectations always being varied and thinking, you know, what Nebraska baseball is going to do. And, you know, even last year to have a disappointing season in the regular season, but still get to the NCAA tournament. You're still one catch away though from being like out of playoff contention. And a lot of people looking around being like, all right, like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
You know, where
Great point.
they take advantage of that. They make the NCAA tournament, but it's all about the response, man. And Will Bolt and his staff, they make some really good additions, whether it be through high school or the transfer portal, while also keeping a very core group together of hitters and pitchers and adding some more depth. And, you know, here they are. Here they are. One of the best teams in the Big Ten.
D1 Baseball released their mid-season field of 64 today.
Oh, wow.
I think. And
okay.
Nebraska is going, according to this, going to Tuscaloosa, who is the number 12 overall seed. So they're real, you know, they're like theoretically 4 spots out of hosting a regional. Miami was in that regional too. I forget who the 4th team was, you know, some mid-major.
So there's this, and I should ask Grim because he's all into this stuff of whether or not
slice.
Do you know PAIR ratings or PEAR ratings?
I don't.
It's a Twitter account. It's all about college baseball. It's college baseball ratings, college softball as well.
Does the P stand for ping?
I don't know what this all stands for, but it's a popular site on Twitter. It's a popular account on Twitter that uses math in order to, you know, rank teams and whatnot. And so they did a random season projection plus random simulation of college baseball today.
A bracket sim.
I did. I was going to do a bracket sim for us with college baseball.
Very popular segment on 1620 The Zone.
This is incredible what the bracket sim has here.
Oh.
Nebraska is a 2 seed in the Florida Gator regional.
Whoa, big swole Larry.
Then it has Nebraska winning the regional.
Hello.
And playing a super regional in College Station against Texas A&M. And then A&M beating Nebraska to go to the College World Series. No! You just can't get away from it. Even the simulations know that something's going on.
Yeah,
here.
Even the Sims are like, we know it's inevitable that these two are hooking up.
It's Texas A&M and Iowa. Even though I think the final simulation had Nebraska beating the final bracket sim for Happer and Schaefer had Nebraska beating Iowa to play Houston in the Elite Eight. That was the final bracket sim they had. You know, we were so close to that. We were right there.
Right there.
Shout out to softball, by the way, too. We talk a ton about baseball and 18 out of 19 wins. Softball's got 16 of the last 17 wins. Jordy Fromm and company leading the way, 27-6. You heard that right. 27-6.
Sounds good.
On the season, they picked up a win yesterday over Creighton. Our friend John Walker was on the beat writing about that game. I believe it was at the new park, obviously, for Creighton. Opened up on coming over there. Apparently, one of the home runs went over the little net that they have to block home runs going into the street. So that was quite unfortunate. That's what John told me what happened. 8-2 win yesterday, though, against the Blue Jays. The only loss for Nebraska in the Big Ten Conference is against UCLA. At the time, they were the number 7 team in the country when they defeated the Nebraska Cornhuskers, who softball currently ranked 8th in the country. So big win yesterday for both Nebraska teams, one on the baseball field, one on the softball field. Coming up next, we've had an interesting run of quarterbacks in the NFL draft the last couple of years. We had that one big year where it was Caleb, Jaden, Bo. Drake May was the third one taken. I forgot about the guy who almost won the MVP this season. A big run of quarterbacks. Then the last couple of years, we've been a little bit inconsistent, a little bit crazy, and it seems like some teams are stockpiling for next year's quarterback draft. They better be right, and I'll tell you why coming up next.
Now back to Middays with Matt on 1620 The Zone.
Don't forget to go to 1620thezone.com. We have a lot of contests that you can enter to go ahead and win some tickets to. Joe Coy is in Omaha April 17th at the Holland. We do have
TikTok on that. Better hurry up.
Exactly. TikTok on some of these, man. It's coming up pretty quickly. A lot of these things that we've been promoting since February are now kind of coming to the date here. The Red Zone giveaway, it's a pair of tickets to see Zach Bryans with Kings of Leon and J.R. Carroll at Memorial Stadium with Heaven on Tour. Yes, at Memorial Stadium, Saturday, April 25th. So go ahead, get involved in that. You also can go and get involved with the Black Keys or the Young Giant or Chris Stapleton and George Thorogood and the Destroyers. Just a slew of artists here on 1620thezone.com where you can go and enter to win your way into the contest. Let's go. I got some notifications here on the Liquid Trucking Zone Twitter feed. I had all these notifications, and now they're all right. Nobody tweeted at me. But if you ever do want to tweet at us at the Liquid Trucking Zone Twitter feed, at Matt McMedia, at Producer Josh. Josh, you know that I'm a Todd McShay honk. Todd. I get his weekly, sometimes bi-weekly. I don't know. Todd gets really lacking in October.
Whoa.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Sometimes he just isn't. When the summer months come, Todd McShay is definitely hibernating. But he was not hibernating today. He went ahead and sent an email about the current quarterback class in 2026. And, you know, the question is not necessarily about Fernando Mendoza, which at this point, it's kind of a guarantee that he is going to be the first overall pick in the NFL draft. But the conversation is all about Ty Simpson. Okay? Now, Ty Simpson.
Calm down, Dan Orlovsky. Calm down.
Yes, that's been a big, with Ty and Dan having the same agent, the conspiracy theories and all that. But I want to read this stat. Here. Okay? So, Todd compared Ty Simpson to Brock Purdy, which is funny considering the fact that Ty Simpson very well could go in the first round of the draft, while Brock Purdy was very famously the very last pick in the NFL draft. But he points this out. What is the negative outlier with Ty Simpson, right? You go ahead and look at his tape. I mean, it's kind of known the first 9 games of the season, Ty Simpson was spinning the ball, man. He looked great. And then he played that Oklahoma game, and Oklahoma got to him. And then the Georgia game, he didn't look all that great. And the Indiana game of the college football playoff definitely sputtered towards the end of the season. What is the outlier with Ty Simpson? Well, he started 15 games in college. And Todd McShay has an incredible stat, Josh Hodson. Since 1999, there have been 7 other true one-year college starting quarterbacks drafted in the first round. Since 1999, 27 years, there have been 7 times where we have drafted, somebody's drafted a quarterback who only had 1 true year of starting. Those quarterbacks are Mark Sanchez, Mitchell Trubisky, Dwayne Haskins, Trey Lance, Kyler Murray, Mac Jones, Anthony Richardson. As Todd says, it's an ugly list. All right?
Ugly?
I mean, Mark Sanchez did have, the year we made it to the AFC Championship game until they got defeated by Ben Roethlisberger.
Careful, he might allegedly stab you.
Yes, that is true. Mitchell Trubisky, bust. Trey Lance, bust. Kyler Murray, I'm sorry, guys, he's a bust. He was a 2-time Pro Bowler. I mean,
2-time Pro Bowler.
Like, he doesn't play on his original team anymore. There were
twice as many as Shedeur.
There were way more. There were way more losing seasons in Arizona than there were winning seasons. He's no longer on the team. Mac Jones, bust. Anthony Richardson, bust. And there is a reason, man, why you see some of these teams and they're kind of going, no, we're good.
Well, it's the Michael Severe 20 starts thing or whatever.
Well,
right?
it's really the Bill Polian, or sorry, Bill Parcells rules of quarterback starting.
I'd rather call it the Michael Severe thing.
No, I'm not giving that to Michael Severe. That is one of the most famous litmus tests on whether or not you're going to be a successful quarterback. We're not just going to take it from Parcells and give it to Severe. As much as
Parcells has the groceries thing. Let Michael have this.
Michael's got the Judd Award Gala. He's got plenty. All right. It's happening tomorrow, by the way, at the Ski Lounge in Omaha. Go to the Judd Award Foundation and go ahead and buy a ticket. A lot of great auction items to help the kids.
I'll be there.
If you want to help kids in the trades, Judd Award Foundation. Also, I want to see Caden Wegen. Also, there's going to be a great interview tomorrow amongst a lot of famous football players that are going to be on the morning show with Happer and Schaefer. I can't wait to see that happen. I know, right? Whoa. You look at some of these teams scattered in the first round, and a lot of them are going, "Nah, we're good. Like, we're okay. And we're fine. We're actually gonna pass. We're actually not gonna play with the quarterback this year.
We'd rather be bad than draft you."
Okay, literally. This is like here are the teams who are clearly just gonna go into this season saying, you know what? We don't need a quarterback. We're gonna be fine. This is gonna be a transition year. We're gonna tank, and we're gonna look to this next quarterback draft. You have the Arizona Cardinals, the New Orleans Saints, the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are begging Aaron Rodgers to come back. They were like, please come back. We don't want to draft a quarterback. We'll have you play. You'll hold us over, and then we're going to go to 2027. Look at the New York Jets. New York Jets have 2 first-round picks next year's draft. They have 2 second-round picks in next year's draft. They have a total of 12 draft picks in next year's draft. If there's anything that's indicating to me is that they are stockpiling, not only to potentially have a high pick in next year's draft, but also additionally have enough picks to potentially trade up if they so please to. Look at the Miami Dolphins. Do you think they signed Malik Willis to be the true long-term option? I think they signed Malik Willis as, all right, we'll see. We'll take a shot at this. We'll figure it out. If it doesn't work out, hey, we'll go ahead. It's only $20 million. It's only $22.5 million. That's plenty to get off the books. He's play fine enough. We can just trade him somewhere else and we can go ahead and we can be bad and draft a quarterback. I do want to warn these teams, though. I understand that Arch Manning, that Dante Moore, that CJ Carr, that Julian Sain, they all are tempting. I understand that you look at next year's draft and you say, man, this has the potential to be what we had a couple of years ago with Bo Nix and Caleb Williams and Drake May and be a team or be a quarterback draft class that we will talk about for years to come. The one thing that I will just push back on, one thing that I'll say, just hold your horses here for a second. Let's just take a step back, is this. We said the same thing kind of about this season. Like we kind of said the same thing heading into this draft class. We talked about Garrett Nussmeier. We talked about Cade Klubnik. Yeah. We were really excited about what DJ Lagway was going to do.
Maybe if Arch has a good year, or whatever.
We were kind of head over heels for what can Norris Sellers do. We're returning to South Carolina. We were.
Yeah, we were.
We were all over this class. We were
I guess
all over.
Not all of us. Many of us said,
sure.
Really, guys?
That's
Sellers?
a good point. But
Lagway, these are your kings.
Well, Lagway actually wouldn't have been eligible. I jumped the gun there because he was a freshman.
I don't know how old anyone is anymore. That's on me.
But what I'm saying here is with Klubnik and Aller and Nussmeier, like we were excited about what this draft class could look like. And what ended up happening? The guys that we were excited heading into it are now the guys that are going to be drafted in the middle of the draft. And the guys that, was anybody picking that the Cal transfer at Indiana was going to be the number 1 overall pick? Was anybody really?
Seemed unlikely.
Was anybody really picking the 1-year starter in Ty Simpson to be the second best quarterback in the draft from Alabama? Not really. So I understand some of these teams and maybe the correct counter to my argument would be, well, who would you want them to draft? I'll just say this.
Great take.
I'll just say this. You still have to do your due diligence and you still have to take a shot. And it's just, I just don't think you can just hold these picks and cross your fingers and be like, oh, Julian Sayin and Arch Manning and Dante Moore and CJ Carr, they're all going to take the next step because we're saying the same things. And you don't want to be the team that is competing with everybody else, to get these high draft picks and then all of a sudden be the fourth one, be the outside looking in and have to waste a draft pick on a guy that is going to end up losing your job. So I know it might be interesting or more favorable to say, hey, we're going to punt on this quarterback draft, but there's no guarantee that you're going to end up with a top guy next year either. And there's no guarantee that you're going to have a bunch of top guys because honestly, this isn't just a 1-year pattern. It's kind of a 2-year pattern at this point of having some pretty disappointing quarterback classes.
Woof. Remember when we were like, hey, Carson Beck might go number 1 overall.
Oof. Oh my God. Oof. We got to hit a break. Oh my God. We are way over. My fault. My fault. Go. Sportsmanlike conduct is going to kill us. Go, Josh, go.
We are watching basketball. The
Okay.
Crown quarterfinals. Oklahoma, Colorado at 7, followed by Baylor, Minnesota at 9:30. Both games on FS1. NBA doubleheader on ESPN. Celtics Heat at 6:30. Spurs, Warriors at 9. We will go to Sydney Sweeney's boobs.
Oh, okay, cool. I like that.
They're on Stars today with the Housemaid. It's apparently a movie that Connor Happer saw.
Okay.
Dog of the day, go.
Dog of the day is going to be a home run. We're going to pick Junior Caminero to hit a home run. That's what we're going with. Plus 699. Here we go. Hit the break. See you later. Middays with Matt.